consistently. You guys are also amazing.
Oh,
The teams are the best.
Oh, are we on YouTube now?
We are.
We're now live
Oh, no.
on the web. Hello, everyone. Welcome.
I don't see it. How do I?
There's a 1-minute delay.
No, I mean it's not on. Hold on.
It hasn't been.
It should be up now if you refresh your page.
You guys have
I'm actively watching it on the YouTube.
Okay, I couldn't find it on the YouTube channel we sent out to everybody.
Oh, well, that would be a problem.
Huge
just
problem.
didn't put the lag into account. There goes my computer.
Oh, yeah, Sochi, it's up now. If you just refresh your screen, it should come up as soon as you go to the channel page.
Yeah.
I am refreshing it a billion times. Could somebody just send the link in the chat? I'll check again.
Actually, on the top left, if you click live on YouTube, it says view stream on YouTube and copy streaming link.
No, I'm trying to check the channel link though, because I've.
My family is watching it, so it is working.
Awesome. That's really
Perfect. They're gonna see me delayed a little while.
I'm gonna send it out to. They're all gonna get a second email from me right now.
I'm also gonna begin recording now, just so I don't forget to later, and I can always crop it. Dang, Zoom functions are popping off right now. Why is live streaming on YouTube while recording and inviting panelists and attendees? Oh my goodness. High tech.
Well, hello, everyone who is tuning in from YouTube. We'll get started soon. Thank you for coming in.
I haven't heard yet. We have a step shop now. All proceeds are going to go to Give Kids the World Village.
So feel free to buy some merchandise.
I'll drop the link in that chat right now.
Y'all, there's a whole 2 people watching on YouTube. Heck yeah.
Hello, YouTube. One of them might be me. I think Zoshi and I are the 2 people.
I'm also watching.
We are awesome.
Make sure to hit that subscribe button for future content from STEP.
Okay. Okay. I just sent it. Everyone's just spam of emails from me today, but that's okay.
Yeah, 13 people.
13 people on the Zoom, and we've got 15 people watching online. Woo! Hello, everybody.
Hello. Good morning. I guess good afternoon for all the East Coasters out there.
Not quite yet. I mean,
What, 12:30?
I guess that is afternoon. You're right.
Welcome, everybody. I'm glad y'all could make it to the STEP final gala. It's been fun so far, so I'm excited to see what y'all got.
Jessica got Beach Boys stuck.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get Beach Boys stuck in your head.
No.
We're good. Another 2 minutes.
A few more minutes and we'll be getting started. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Student Themed Entertainment Project Final Gala.
Are y'all monitoring the YouTube chat?
Yes.
Yes.
While we have everyone here, I quickly want to explain that while people are giving presentations, we are going to have we'll be periodically sending out a feedback form so you can submit any feedback or questions that you'd like. So I'm going to be sending that in the YouTube chat right now.
It looks like one more heads up about the YouTube chat. You are running 1 minute behind us.
But you would never know that because you don't have access to the Zoom stream. But for all the participants in the Zoom chat trying to also watch the YouTube channel, there's a bit of delay. So if you type something in the YouTube chat trying to get our attention or something, it'll take us a little bit to respond. Thank you.
All right, I think we're good to get started. Y'all ready?
Oh, well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Student Themed Entertainment Project 2020 Gala. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to come on down and support students trying to enter themed entertainment.
Well, some of you may be wondering, what exactly is STEP? STEP stands for the Student Themed Entertainment Project. When it began back in May, it was called the Summer Themed Entertainment Project, but it has expanded beyond just the summer, and so we have changed its name to Student accordingly. It is a project featuring 70 students and 17 industry professionals as we work together to develop an original theme park from its initial blue sky development phase all the way to its official pitch, which you are all about to see. Hello, we are the management team. My name is Jessica Goldberg. I'm a sophomore at Purdue University.
My name is Sochi Corey. I am a senior at UC San Diego.
Hi, I'm Taylor Cook. I'm a mechanical engineering student at Iowa State University, and I'm a senior.
And I'm Mike Sturman, a sophomore at Cal Poly Pomona.
So this project actually started all the way back in May, and we developed the project initially for like one attraction and ideally 15 to 20 students. And between May and June, we had 2 milestone meetings and increased our numbers to 70 students. So crazy blow up. And then we went into July for milestone 3, and now we're here in September after everybody has done all of their work this summer to present the final project.
So we started STEP in response to everything that was happening with the COVID-19. As you all know, many internships got canceled, job offers rescinded, and just opportunities seemed to dwindle down. But while that was happening, themed entertainment students were connecting with each other online more than ever before because of platforms like Discord and LinkedIn and stuff like that. So we decided we wanted to create an opportunity for students to display any skill set they had, so any disciplines could join, and design something that they could put on their portfolio that was relevant to the work they wanted to do. And so with this in mind, we set 3 goals for this project: to connect with other students in the themed entertainment industry, to stay engaged with work relevant to the industry, and to create a portfolio piece with work that students actually wanted to do. So for example, if someone came to us and they said, I want to be a show writer, we put them on an attraction that needed a show writer. They got to work with that attraction to develop such.
Now, as I'm sure you're going to see through the presentations today, STEP is unique. First off, STEP is a collaborative program where students work together in professional teams instead of against one another in a competition. Also, we have no budgetary restraints to encourage our participants to use their full creative potential. Also, we have an individualized project experience catered to a multidisciplinary audience. Now that means no matter what your background or your experience level, STEP is more than happy to take you in and help you create something for a portfolio that you'll be proud of. STEP has also offered multiple long-term networking opportunities for both mentors and students, and also like-minded students working towards a similar goal to entering the industry. And finally, and most importantly, STEP has created a project to help fill the void created by COVID summer, giving students something to work on when so many jobs and internships were lost.
While the project started with the development on one attraction, it very rapidly grew until we were designing an entire park. Our park consists of 2 lands with 8 attraction teams and 10 specialty teams. There were 4 administrative personnel, which was the 4 of us, and then there were 10 team leaders. Over the 4 months of the project, there were 3 official deliverables and then this presentation, and there was weekly meetings for each team, as well as a digital drive that every team was able to share their technical and creative work on in order for it to be shared across the entire project.
So as you can imagine, from such a project, there are plenty of challenges. For example, all of us are very interested in the industry. However, not very many of us actually have industry experience, whether that be internships or jobs in the industry. On top of that, most of us have never met, let alone met in person. So we went from complete strangers to teammates working on the same project virtually in a matter of weeks. In addition to that, we started the project as students were still in school, and we have ended the project as students have begun school once again. During the course of the summer, students also had jobs in order to make money to afford to go to college, and the regular summer activities that you could expect. And then lastly, as I mentioned earlier, we went from about 15 students to 70 in a matter of weeks. So that provides an entire new envelope of challenges there. So here you can actually see a representation of where students in STEP are from. There's 3 different countries represented here and almost the entire United States.
So with STEP, at some point we did have to go through a story rework. When we first started this project, we wanted to originally create a 1950s park that catered to adults and was based on cosmic horror, as we hadn't done something like that before. Most of the stuff we had made in the past had been family friendly. So we wanted to take on a new challenge. And this story took place on Earth and revolved around aliens who had crash landed in a small town, assimilating to human life. But as we got deeper into the story, we realized it was insensitive to minority groups. So we had talks about why this story needed to change and how it needed to change, and we all worked together to change the story. So in response, we changed this story to actually take place on an intergalactic planet where beings from all over the galaxy are celebrating technological achievements of all their homes. And with that, we have Stargrove. So Stargrove is a world quite similar to Earth in terms of climate and atmosphere, as well as structure. In Stargrove, there's a city area and a residential area, but both of these infrastructures are uniquely alien, as you will see in the presentations later on. So there's a downtown area, which is the bustling scene of Stargrove with shops and other industrial type places. And then there's the suburbs, which is more quiet and where the residents of Stargroves live. We do want to note, though, that this is not actually in space, but we designed this to take place in Florida.
Stargrove is home to the biggest event in the galaxy, GATE. GATE stands for the Annual Galactic Advancements in Technology Expo. It is a showcase in technological advancements from across the galaxy, kind of like a multidimensional World's Fair. It is the gateway to sharing knowledge across the universe. Downtown Stargrove is, as Zoshi mentioned, the commercial hub. It features the latest in technology, education, and entertainment. If you want to get your driver's test, take a look into the history of GATE, take a tour of one of the companies that are participating in the event, or go to the main event itself. There is something in the downtown for everybody.
The suburbs of Stargrove are actually a step away from the bustling downtown. Come to the suburbs of Stargrove to meet our alien families. You can walk through their homes, meet their pets, and even see things like our state-of-the-art greenhouse or our bunker hidden away behind the mountains.
Now, I'm sure you can imagine that with so many attractions, we have to make sure we have a diverse portfolio of attractions in the park. So we're telling multiple stories. And with the presence of GATE, a technology expo, you can imagine one story that kept on popping up while teams were developing it. And that would be technology backfiring. So to make sure we had a diverse array of attractions for people to experience, we have limited the number of attractions that can use GATE as the central storyline to only 2 or 3. Well, all the other attractions are there to be are there for world building and really developing the idea of what it's like to live on an alien planet.
So what are the GATE-centric attractions? So we have the Nighttime Spectacular, and their story rides essentially on GATE and celebrates GATE. And we also have the Suburb Dark Ride and the Downtown Show, both who maybe GATE isn't their central story, but it parallels their story and it's an important part so you can understand what the characters are doing and their motivations.
So we have some feature attractions that are not directly associated to GATE. However, when you go to this attraction, you will know that GATE is occurring. It just won't be the main storyline. For example, we have both of the coasters. There's a roller coaster in the downtown area and the suburb area that are like this. The Downtown Dark Ride, a flat ride in the suburbs, and a maze in the suburbs.
In addition, we had some other additional attractions and experiences. So as I mentioned earlier, this started off as an adult park. So when we transitioned to a family-friendly park, we made Space Camp for kids, which is not so much learning how to do space travel, but these attractions are based on what you do when you actually get to the foreign planets. So we have a few options there for families and teens as well. We also have a suburb splash house where a resident who is water-based has invited people into their home, and it's a little water play area. We also have an art walk featuring in the back that would theoretically feature local artists' work based off Stargrove and GATE. And we have the park app experience, which you will learn more about tomorrow.
Before we get this show on the road, we would like to offer special thanks to all of the amazing mentors who worked on this project. We had 17 industry professionals who all took time out of their very busy summers to come and help with this project, and we greatly appreciate everything that you've done.
The management team would like to have a big special thanks to Dave and Ashley, who have been mentoring us throughout this entire process and really helping us make big decisions for running a large project that STEP has become. So thank you, Ashley and Dave.
And with that, STEP proudly presents Stargrove. Thanks so much for coming, everybody, and we're excited to get started with the presentations. So before we get started, as I mentioned earlier, I will be dropping a link in the chat that is a feedback form where you can submit questions for teams or give feedback. You can ask questions in the YouTube live chat. There's not a guarantee we're going to get to them, though. And so I'll drop that in right now. And with that, we're going to get started with our first team, the Suburb Funhouse.
Awesome, thanks guys. Okay, let me just get this started. This should be all good to go, I think. All right, awesome. Well, thank you guys, everyone, for coming out. I know as a team, we are all very excited for everyone to see all of our work. So welcome to Stargrove and welcome to our attraction, 18 Bradbury Lane, Glenforbes Escape. Also, can you guys see the little box of people or no? Is that good? Like, is it blocking anything?
No, that's perfect.
All right, just gonna keep moving forward with it. So a little bit about our team. My name is Ali Rocha. I am a senior at Virginia Tech, double majoring in industrial systems engineering and theater arts. And this is the rest of our team, consisting of Josh Arts from Virginia Tech, Dominic Civitano from Purdue University, Carla Baltazar from San Diego State University, and Corbin Carlson from Notre Dame. So what is our attraction? So our attraction basically consists of the Gladdens. The Gladdens are your typical alien family just living their normal lives in Stargrove. When you come up to their house in Stargrove, you just can notice a few things that are a little bit off about it. There seems to be some bite marks taken out of plants, some muddy footprints are wandered about, and you can kind of start to wonder, what happened here? They invite you into their home, and you basically find out the main plot point of this thing, that the pet Glenforb escaped. And that kind of leads to the question, what is Glenforb? What is a Glenforb? And they kind of introduce you to Glenforb, which is this lovable alien creature here. And this sets you off on this chase to follow Glenforb throughout this whole attraction, introducing you to a lovable cast of characters that basically introduces you to the whole wacky cast of characters. And can you help them find them? So first, introducing you guys to the Gladdens. So like we said, the Gladdens are your typical alien family. So we have Glurman, who's their father, Glenthea, who's their loving mother, Glacy, who's the oldest child, Glabagal, who's their middle child, and she's the closest one to Glenforb. So she has a special connection, and she's the one who kind of sets you off on that driving force to go find Glenforb. And Todd, who's the little oddball child who always seems to be getting into trouble alongside Glenforb. And of course, the star of the show himself, Glenforb. Something special about Glenforb is that the longer he's out of his cage, the bigger he seems to grow. So that kind of puts a stress of urgency throughout this whole thing. So you have to kind of put a little time limit on yourself to make sure that the longer that you're throughout this attraction, you have to make sure you can find them as quick as possible.
For our attraction, we decided to implement a virtual queue utilizing the park app. Guests will be able to choose a time frame their group wishes to ride through the app and then enter into the virtual queue space through the entrance area found in the bottom right-hand corner. After getting checked in, guests will be able to roam freely in the queue space until they get called. We chose to design this as a garden area in the Gladdens' front yard. The area will be filled with multiple walkways shaded by trees, along with benches and a gazebo sitting area. There will also be a large pond with water features for people to watch while they wait. We had the intention of designing this after a horticultural garden with labels for all the exotic plants that are common to be found on this planet that will be floating around in the queue space. Upon being notified through the app that it is time to ride, guests can make their way to the check-in area and get into a small queue section before entering the house. Here, guests can see multiple signs showing that something has been through the area, including a broken fountain and flower beds that have clearly gotten into.
This is the main facade of the Gladdens' house. It is aquatic themed because the Gladdens themselves have tentacles, which suggests that they are aquatic aliens. The color scheme is cool blue, which alludes to the idea of water. And then the roof itself has a squiggle detail, which also suggests a wave, as well as alludes back to the tentacle features that the Gladdens themselves have.
The first room guests encounter in the Gladden's house is the entrance hallway that is being used as pre-grouping for parties before they enter into the actual pre-show room. Party sizes will be organized into 25 to 30 people. After the doors open, guests can then enter the Gladden's kitchen, where they will be behind an island countertop and see a set behind it with the characters of the Gladden family being holographically projected onto this set. Guests meet the family and then get informed by Glabigail that Glimthorpe has escaped from his cage. Glurman and Glinthea then explain how it is imperative for guests to help find Glimthorpe, as the longer he is out of his cage, the larger he continues to grow. Guests are then directed to start looking for him in the living room, which is the next room over. Throughout all the rooms of the attraction, there will be various effects guests can see of Glimthorpe wreaking havoc. In the living room, there will be projections showing a silhouette of Glimthorpe running around areas behind the furniture. On the walls, there will be framed family photos that will actually be screened so they can appear to be getting shattered by Glimthorpe. There will also be a piano centerpiece that will appear as if Glimthorpe has gotten inside of it, running along the strings to play different notes and knocking the lid up and down. Sound effects will be played over a room-wide speaker. Guests will then leave the living room and head into a hallway that leads to Glabigail's room. Within this room, there will be a pile of toys Glimthorpe is hiding under and knocks over a few when he gets disturbed by all the guests. He then moves to a large dollhouse where guests can see his eyes poking out of the windows. He then makes his way into a dresser where there is an effect that makes it appear that he is opening and closing the dresser drawers and pokes his head out of them. Guests then leave Glabigail's room and head out into the yard.
After Glimthorpe goes into the yard, he then goes into another home. He goes into visiting his neighbors who are not especially fond of him. These are the Meristems. They are an old couple. They are essentially retired scientists from Gate. They're pretty quiet. They're calm. They have their own pet, Fowl. And because they don't really like a lot of trouble, when Glenthorpe goes in, they're not very happy. Neither is Fowl. So as soon as Glenthorpe goes in, it's a cat and mouse chase against its will.
So the bottom left shows the image of the Meristem's house. It goes with the theming of aliens, and the shape of it looks like two leaves. On the right-hand portion, there's the first two rooms of the house, and they are based on kind of an interior format. The left hand is a greenhouse, and it's more of like a sunny area where people can just hang out during the day. And when you're between the two houses, there's kind of an outdoor scene. So you walk on a concrete walkway with some turf, and the ceiling itself will simulate either day or nighttime.
Apologies for the audio issues. Hang on one second. There we go. Sorry, it seems I was having audio technical issues. So once Glimthorpe has entered the Meristem's home, you will follow him through their front yard into the dining room. And as you go into the dining room, you'll notice that the dining room to cause chaos. It appears we're having technical difficulties. Is everyone muted who isn't presenting? It sounds like we're having a bit of an echo.
Yes, everyone is muted who isn't presenting. Are you getting technical issues when I speak as well?
No, you're good. Huh, it was weird. Like the last slide or so, we've been having technical issues, but now I don't hear anything. I guess
Yeah,
whoever it was.
you're
Hmm?
good right now too, Dominic. So
We're good?
that's
Okay. Sorry. Apologies for ruining the momentum.
you're
So,
good.
so he'll make his way into the dining room where you'll see him start to shake some of the chairs and move the tablecloth. He will also be scurrying his way under the tablecloth and shaking some of the platters that are on the table, which we're going to have some magnets do some of the shaking. And then once he makes his way out of the dining room, as you mentioned earlier, the Meristoms are a retired science couple. So you'll go into their science lab and bottles of chemicals as he changes colors going into these different chemicals that are all color coded. And then finally, he'll knock over one of the beakers into a larger beaker, which will show a screen that has a little cutscene on it. And once those two chemicals mix together, it creates a soapy explosion that will shower the guests with bubbles. So then Glenford will make his way out of there and into the greenhouse. Then once he makes his way into the greenhouse, you'll go through, as most greenhouses have, sort of a wall of mist to sort of keep the humidity up. So go through a wall of mist, hopefully will remove some of that soapy debris off of the guests. And once you make your way into the greenhouse, as we said before, these are plant tables. This is essentially their living room. So it'll have a bunch of other plants and, sort of decor. And Glenford will then ensue in a cat and dog commentary chase between himself and the Marison's pet, which, as we said before, they don't really like each other. So they'll sort of be scurrying about the oh, my audio's going in and out. Uh-oh. Is that better?
Yes.
It's relatively inconsistent. Sorry, everybody, for the technical difficulties. I'm getting the same.
Yeah, it's happening with you, Taylor. I hate to do this to y'all, but Alec, can you close the presentation real quick, please? Okay, can you guys hear me loud and clear now?
Yeah, Sochi, you're fine.
Okay, that's really weird. Okay.
Try resharing the presentation, maybe without audio sharing.
You maybe try that. Sorry for all the technical difficulties, guys. I know it's.
I'm wondering if it was like leftover feedback from when you played that recording.
Could have been, perhaps.
Share the
I
presentation.
noticed it started to come up once once Carla had started talking about the Meristoms is when it started to rock off the rails. I just thought it was general technical difficulties. All right, does that sound better for everybody?
That is so much better.
Awesome, perfect. I knew we'd get through it eventually. So where did I lose you? Was it the greenhouse? Just go from the greenhouse. So you go into the greenhouse, which, as I said before, we have a nice layer of mist, which hopefully will get rid of some of the bubbly debris that will be on top of you after that soapy explosion. You'll go through the greenhouse, and since they are plant-based people, this is essentially their living room. Walk straight in, and there'll be a bunch of plants and decor, and you'll see the Meristoms in their rocking chair. But then, being that the Meristoms have their own pet, Glenford and the Meristoms pet will engage in sort of a Tom and Jerry-esque cat and mouse chase through the greenhouse. So you'll sort of follow them outside of the greenhouse into the yard, and you will meet the last wacky character in the neighborhood, who's personally my favorite.
So this is the other neighbor. This is Cosmic Commando Bontes. He is single. He is, the design is vaguely based on a bird. He's a small guy with big personality. He's about 6 feet tall total, but half of that height is just the headpiece. He is one that, unlike the Meristoms, he's actually very happy when he sees Glenford. He's very fond of him. So when Glenford goes into his house, he is just absolutely elated.
This is the facade for Cosmic Commando Vontez's house. We decided to continue with the bird theming and make it look like an egg. So the rounded shape and the neutral color palette add to this idea. Additionally, the slanted lines that partition the middle and the kind of cream color for the middle section makes it look like the egg has cracked open and you are entering into the egg.
So in the final house that you'll visit along your journey, you'll go into the master bedroom. You'll continue to see Glimforb causing a bit of chaos, knocking books off of bookshelves. Then you'll make your way into the master closet. And as we said before, Vontez is a man of a very eccentric taste. He has a lot of headpieces, a lot of capes. So you'll go into this all-out master closet where he has this sort of rotating carousel of headdresses, which Glimforb will somehow have gotten himself on top of and will be riding as if it in itself is a theme park attraction, which I always think is fun. So you'll follow through the master closet into the parlor room where you'll come to find that perhaps this love for Glimforb is more of an obsession than a love, as Vontez has lots of different Glimforb-esque paraphernalia with, sort of Glimforb tiki masks that sort of look like rabbits, and different paintings, which I sort of drew one up here, such as Glimforb crossing the Delaware. So you'll see a bunch of wacky drawings and artwork and different paraphernalia for Glimforb, and you'll make your way outside of Vontez's house, into the yard, and back into the Gladden's home for the finale, which, go to the next slide, which will go through the yard. You'll start to see some larger footprints. You'll be like, is Bigfoot a foot? Oh, wait, don't forget, the longer Glimforb's out of the cage, the bigger he gets. So he's left these big muddy footprints all across Vontez's lovely yard. And you'll make your way into the kitchen where there'll be a pre-recorded pre-show on the screen. The good news is Galapagos quickly runs and catches Glimforb in his cage. He shrinks down to normal size. The Gladdens thank you for helping them on this journey to help find Glimforb and stop his reign of chaos throughout the neighborhood. You walk in the garage, which conveniently is a gift shop. And that's the end of our attraction as you make your way back into the park to enjoy another fun-filled attraction. And we have a large layout that we'll show you, which is sort of the pan out of this whole attraction in one shot here. Oh, look at that, so nice. We have the nice cute space and the whole show building right in one picture. And that's the end of our presentation. Allie just has a few thank yous she wants to get out of the way. So take it away, Allie.
Yeah, so we want to give just a big thank you to our mentor Finnegan and our land manager Taylor for answering all of my late night texts all the time. And obviously to our project director, so Team Mike, for putting this whole thing together. And just to everyone, especially also for bearing with us in all of our technical difficulties. Greatly appreciate it. Yeah, thank you to all of our family and friends as well. We all love you guys so much. Thank you, everyone.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. Y'all have done a fantastic job. And I apologize that you had to experience the technical difficulties. That's never fun. For anyone that's watching online and for anyone that's here, we will post the Eventbrite so you can see what the schedule will look like for today again. But our next team will be the Suburb Coaster.
Hello, everyone. We are the. Hello, everyone. We are. Oh no, I'm echoing through somebody.
If you aren't speaking at the moment, do you mind muting your mic so that we can avoid any feedback? Thank you.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. I apologize for any technical difficulties we might have, but we are the Suburb roller coaster team, and our attraction is called Stargrove Labs Snake Route Escape. So I'm Harris. I am the attraction manager for this coaster project. I also worked a lot on the actual coaster ride design itself and importing that into No Limits Coaster.
My name is Matt. I'm the creative lead and concept designer for the attraction.
My name is Jared Walker, and I composed the music for the onboard soundtrack and helped design the ride.
My name is Jared Martin, and I was a ride and safety engineer.
My name's Ethan Capello, and I helped with the ride operations as well as design the queue and building layout.
And Kylie Stamey was also part of our team, but she was on the safety team, so she has her own presentation that she'll talk about tomorrow in terms of ride safety, but she also helped us out with our coaster.
So welcome to Stargrove Labs. Let's begin our escape. At Stargrove Labs high-tech greenhouse facility, humans are being recruited to look after a rare plant called the ruby snake root. After a brief training, you are quickly warned of an intruder breaking into the facility. Will you catch the thief and return the plant berry before it's too late? This is an ambitious idea, and we decided to capture it using retro-futurist architecture, as you can see in this beautiful concept art provided by Frederick Kayers. And it's imposing and grand. It's very futuristic, but almost retro greenhouse. And through this design, we showcase the plant life within through a faux greenhouse facade and the greenhouse dome. But above the greenhouse dome rises a UFO type watchtower, which alludes to the high security and protecting the valuable plants within.
So Snake Root Escape is the highest thrill attraction at the whole Stargrove Park. So this would be an RMC Rocky Mountain Construction hybrid roller coaster. So we'll be using their steel iBox track technology along with a wooden support structure. It'll be an indoor and outdoor roller coaster experience with the dark ride portion as well as a high thrill outdoor section. And this will be using linear synchronous motor LSM launch technology on a hybrid coaster track, which is actually the first time this has been implemented. RMC has done a launch coaster on their topper track wooden coaster track, but never on a hybrid coaster. So this would be the first launched hybrid coaster. And it would also be the first Rocky Mountain construction coaster to travel backwards and use track switch and a reversing spike element that we'll get more in depth about later.
I am Dr. Nosrak, the head researcher here at Stargrove Hydroponic Labs.
She sounds kind of familiar. This is Dr. Nosrak. She's based on a character designed by Bailey Griffin, so thank you, Bailey. She's an alien scientist who is researching the ruby snake root plant. She's recruiting humans to tend to the plant, which produces a gas that is toxic only to aliens, meaning that humans are the only beings who can look after this plant. She's kind to the humans, but has some strange mannerisms, because this is the first time she's worked with humans before.
And this is our other character. This is the punk teen. Thanks to D'Angelo Reyes for the voice recording of it. The punk teen is the antagonist of our attraction, and his main goal is to attempt to steal the ruby berry from the dangerous ruby snake root in one of our show scenes. Some characteristics of the punk teen is that he's menacing, small, and agile, and he's also very mischievous, and they aren't afraid of like a little danger, a little crime.
So our ride vehicle, which is called the Propagator, is inspired by retro-futurist visions of farming and the streamlining movement of the 1930s. Flowing lines, fin textures, and chrome accents are features we wanted to include. The ride vehicle went through many iterations before our final design. Initially, we went for more of a streamlined car look. However, after consulting the Downtown Coaster team, we realized that a more farming-related vehicle would be more appropriate. So we took inspiration from tractor tires, futurist vehicles, and retained the previous streamlining inspiration. This is our final design. So the Propagator takes the form of a hot rod tractor with two futuristic tires and shiny chrome accents. The design shown is the front zero car only, and the other cars are RMC trains with a glossy red finish, with watering tools attached to the sides, which are supposedly activated in a dark ride portion of the attraction.
All right, so this is the queue layout. As you know, as the same with all Stargrove attractions, we want to immerse our guests in the queue as best we can to get ready for the ride. So one thing that we want to incorporate is that we have a plant carousel with different types of alien plants that rotates above the guests. This is kind of similar to Droid Depot at Galaxy's Edge at Disney. And then another cool thing is that we have a pre-show. You could probably see it on the very left of the page. I don't have it labeled, but there is a pre-show that's where Dr. Nosrak will be talking about what you're going to expect on the ride, like what the tour is like. And then we also have a cool locker system where you can open your lockers and put your stuff in on one side when you enter the ride, and then when you exit the ride, you can take your stuff out of the locker and then exit through the queue. And then this is the ride layout. As you can see, on the left side of the picture is that this is our building design. And then in the right, that's like the blueprint of our ride. And that whole huge white building with the blue dome in the center, that is our building. And then the blue dome will be where the Ruby Snake route will be. And then as you can see on the very right, there's also a small green building. This will be another show scene, most notable for when the punk team tries to steal the Ruby Snake route berry. And then that little red building over there next to that track, that's going to be where the spike is, where the coaster goes from reverse to back forwards. So yeah, that's the ride layout.
Great, and I created a unique piece of music for our coaster's onboard audio. It combines acoustic and synth instruments to create a natural, futuristic feeling, just like I think an alien greenhouse would feel. First, I came up with the main theme on piano. Here's the original demo. And then I built it up into the song that it is. Just like on a real roller coaster, it's split up into 5 sections, which is triggered throughout the ride to make sure it's always lined up. And the music includes a lot of little details. We're going to look at 2 of them right here. So first of all, in the backwards portion of the ride, I really wanted to drive home that backwards feeling, so I actually included reversed percussion sounding instruments. So you can hear that and how it fits into the song. I also have another instrument that kind of hides in the background throughout the whole ride, and it goes up and down just as the roller coaster itself goes up and down. Great, so you can listen for that and many more details throughout the POV, which we're going to watch right now. If you want to watch it later, you can visit the link at bit.ly/snakerootepov. It's on YouTube. All right, so we're going to watch that.
Hello, this is Dr. Nosrat. Welcome to the Stargrove Labs greenhouse. Pretty impressive, don't you think? Let's get to business and test out those propagators. Water sprinklers, 50% blast. Excellent, you're good to go. It's time to send you toward the Ruby Snake route. I'll meet you in the next room. Let's get you headed to the other end of the greenhouse.
An intruder? No, no, quickly get to the snake route.
Here's the snake route to the home. Be careful inside and don't touch anything.
Sector 5. It looks like the plant has caught our thief.
Great job, volunteers. I think you've earned the rest of the day off. We'll have these other humans take over your shift now. Thank you for visiting Stargrove Lab. We hope to see you again soon.
Great, now we're going to look at some of the specific coaster elements that were part of this ride. So first we had a launched lift. It includes a chain lift sound so that people don't expect to be launched up. We also have a wave turn, which is a 0G element. We have a few 0G rolls, including one while you're going backwards, which is right there, and another one over the queue entrance. The reversing section includes a show scene that has a puff of purple poison gas as guests are launched backwards. The dueling section is unique in that one train is forwards and one is backwards. And there's a Top Gun stall, which is right there, that has a trick track airtime hill underneath. We also included a banana roll as one of the highest elements in the ride. And it finally had the fast track switch, which includes a vertical spike that has a unique airtime bump for the back few cars. Harris, in the next slide, will explain more of the mechanisms and safety of this specific ride element.
Yeah, so one of the most unique elements of this coaster is this high-speed track switch. So this is relatively new technology. I believe the first implementation of it was on the Hagrid roller coaster at Islands of Adventure that opened last year. So everyone's seen like Expedition Everest and other coasters where the train will come to a stop on a block zone, and then the track will slide into place, and then the train will reverse directions. That's sort of what we have to travel backwards in this attraction. But to return to forward motion, we actually perform a track switch while the train never stops moving. And the way that we're able to do this is using the double functionality of linear synchronous motors, LSM launch technology. So the train is going to cross over this transfer track going backwards where the white arrow is. And the green track actually has magnetic launch to speed the train up and launch it up that spike. And while all this is happening, the speed of the train is being carefully controlled by magnets. And so that track switch is able to slide while the train is still moving. This is about a 6-second process that the track has to disengage, slide, and then re-lock into place. So ideally during normal operations, this will happen. The train will proceed back down the spike forward, be launched again up to 60 miles an hour, the ride's top speed, and launch back across that track switch. But in the off event that there is some kind of mechanical failure with the track switch, that it isn't properly aligned in that quick amount of time, those LSM magnets are also capable of stopping the train before it reaches the track switch. And then the train will sort of stop in that underground valley area that you saw before in the POV. So that's our sort of fail-safe mechanism to allow for this track switch to happen while the train remains in motion. So here are a few technical statistics of our ride. We're at about 5,600 feet of track, which would make this the second longest Rocky Mountain construction coaster built to date. It's slightly shorter than Steel Vengeance at Cedar Point. You notice the drop of the ride is slightly higher than the maximum height because of that underground tunnel that we saw on the spike. So the ride has 3 LSM launch sections, but because of the dual functionality of that spike launch, it's actually able to use the same set of stators on the track to launch the train twice, which is how we get to that 4 launch number. And we also have 25 track crossovers, which is a large number because it's a very compact ride. And sort of on the capacity side of things, we have 6 trains, and each of these are sort of the standard Rocky Mountain Construction 24-passenger train. But we have something that's not standard, is a dual load station. So you see these on a lot of rides that Disney builds. So that if you assume that the train takes 70 seconds to be dispatched from the station, we're actually able to send a train about every 34 seconds. So this would give us a theoretical hourly ride capacity of about 2,000 guests per hour, which is very high for a coaster of this size.
So looking at our project, we wanted to take it a little step further and really emphasize safety and operations and accessibility. So to do that, we actually created a safety and accessibility manual. And the cover is seen on this slide here. And the cover kind of simulates what you might see in the front of a ride inside the park, inside Stargrove. So this manual includes ride info that would be displayed outside the attraction or maybe on the park app. But we were sure to emphasize our adherence to standards on this attraction, from ASTM to ADA and everything in between. And you can see some of those guidelines here. Diving in, a large portion of what we focused on in safety and operations was on accessibility. Like I mentioned, our goal was to expand accessibility to make our ride more inclusive so that everybody could have a fun but safe experience. With that in mind, we were sure to design a queue, seen here on the right, that met ADA guidelines to allow for accessibility for all guests up to and including the pre-show. From the end of the pre-show, seen where the green begins on the right, our differently abled guests can go up the unload ramp at a safe grade and then can load from there. When loading, these guests have the opportunity to transfer to a special ADA car, which, like similar RMC models, has wider openings for easy boarding. And these cars also feature a special feature not ever used on RMC trains before, which are harness clips. So yes, harness clips. Our park, or our ride specifically, will feature a harness-enabled system to change the limb requirement to make it easier for more guests to ride. If certain guests normally wouldn't be able to ride due to a previous limb requirement, a harness would enable them to do so. They would just have to get one from guest services, put it on, and they could be clipped into their seats. We are proud to include this supplement because it drastically changes the limb requirements and ensures that guests are able to ride based on actual medical definitions. And this is reflecting a changing perspective in our industry. On the other side of accessibility was safety, and this is also included in our manual. We were sure to have our entire ride and the model we made stick closely to ASTM F2291 and other standards from ASTM. This includes acceleration limits, like the graph you see on the right. You can see our ride reaches maximum forces of 4 Gs, which is safely within the ASTM recommended plot on the right. Similar steps were taken to ensure guest safety in all facets, from fencing to mechanical redundancies and more.
All right, so looking into the future, we have many aspects that we could consider if we want to build this ride in real life. So one is the track switch specifically. That's probably the most important one. The track switch needs to be made light enough so the train could go through and so it can switch quickly. And there also needs to be a mechanism so it could lock into place within 6 seconds, because Rocky Mountain Construction has never done something like this before. So this is definitely something new for the industry. Also with the onboard audio systems, this has also never been done to a Rocky Mountain Construction ride before. And onboard audio requires speakers and a computer system, and this would make the train heavier. So that may also affect the ride. Also, we have noise pollution to a neighboring restaurant. So with the restaurant nearby, we would need to make a noise cancellation, something that will cancel the noise on the ride. So it will be quiet for those eating. And then some other ones include evacuation routes, LSM power generation and cooling techniques, and operating speed variations due to weather, wave train, wheel materials, and etc.
We'd like to say a special thanks to these people, starting with Sochi for starting STEP and making summer out of this world. Nick for being a great professional mentor. Frederick for his amazing concept art that you can see behind me and you saw at the start of the presentation. And of course, everyone at STEP for bringing Stargrove to life.
Thank you so much, everyone. I just wanted to personally say thank you to all those people that Matt mentioned. But sort of to wrap things up, here is our attraction poster that Matt did. We like it a lot. We think it's pretty awesome. Hopefully you enjoyed our presentation. And thanks for visiting Stargrove Labs.
Wow, thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible. I was smiling ear to ear when I was watching the POV. It was so exciting. And I'm sure everyone can relate. We're gonna take a 5-minute break and come back at what would be either your 10:30, your 12:30, or your 1:30. But in the meantime, Sochi, I think, has something to share with us. Well done, team.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. Well done, guys. When that story rework I mentioned earlier, it specifically hit this team the hardest, and they came back stronger than ever. So great job on bouncing back, guys. You guys are amazing. Real quick before we head to our break, just want to say we opened up a little step store. So Mike will be dropping that link into your YouTube chat, but we have a store that sells step merch, gate merch, and Stargrove merch, and more merch is going to be added throughout the coming week. All profits made from this is going to be donated to Give Kids a World Village based off a suggestion by Jack Miller. So if y'all need merch from our project, please feel free to check out that store, support a charity. Thank you, Jack, for the idea. Thank you, marketing, for the logos, and thank you, Emily Lee, for helping me set that up.
So for the next 5 minutes, go ahead and go use the restroom, go get a drink of water, whatever you need to do. We can sit here and chat if y'all really want to, but I guess in 4 minutes now we'll have the flat ride team present. So see y'all soon. Also, I believe that anyone joining us via YouTube or in the Zoom call at the moment can see Jared Walker's screen, which is currently their POV again. So go ahead and zoom in on that if you didn't get a chance to watch it the first time.
Also, just real quick, because I've gotten a few questions about posters. So actually that store that we're using for the step merch right now won't let me do posters. It actually won't let me do stuff with more than 8 colors. So I will be setting up a second store after presentations today so we could have the poster set up on different types of merch. So that will happen. And for those of you watching on the YouTube live stream, I will send out a message on Eventbrite with both store links, and for all of you in Step and Elementors, you will also get either email or a Discord message from me with that information.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm not sure if very many people actually left, but if you turned off your camera, welcome back. I can see you again. We're going to go ahead and get started again with the flat ride team. So Bailey and team, take it away.
Awesome. All right. So, hi everybody. We are the Flat Ride team, and the name of our attraction is Mechatron Ready for Launch. So before we get into all of the specifics for the Flat Ride, I just wanted to do a big thanks to David Edmonds, who was our mentor for this project. He really helped with our story and making sure everything was great creatively with all of the aspects. So thanks, David. And then for intros, hi, I'm Bailey. I'm a fourth-year mechanical engineering student at Georgia Tech, and I am super thrilled to be the team lead of this project.
Hi, my name is Carly Smith. I worked on the creative development and mechanical design of this attraction. I am a third-year mechanical engineering student at the University of Texas at Austin, with a certificate in design strategies.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jake Plucker. I am a senior at the University of Notre Dame studying mechanical engineering. And on this project, I served as a mechanical designer and also focused in on the analysis of our ride.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michael Drahamarecki. I'm a civil engineering major at Purdue University, and I'm going to be a third year. And I worked on the BIM related and CAD work and assisted with creative development as well.
My name is Spencer McMillan. I worked as a mechanical designer and concept artist for this project. I'm a mechanical engineering student at Virginia Tech, and I'm currently in my 5th year.
Hi, my name is Jenixa Rodriguez. I am in my 3rd year of mechanical engineering in Arizona State University in Ohio, and I have been working with the creative development and storytelling. So now Spencer will be talking about our inspiration.
So the aesthetic of this park uses an art style called retrofuturism, which is a style inspired by depictions of the future from past eras. And we chose this aesthetic because while some of these past depictions of the future may seem a bit silly today, they came at a time of optimism and wonder for what the future could hold. Our goal is this aesthetic will transport guests into a world of similar emotions, inspiring and exciting them about a world of whimsical technology and possibilities. And now Yunitsa will walk us through our story, accompanied with some concept art.
Okay, here is the poster of our attraction, and it was done by Emily from the marketing team. So now let's start with the journey. First, guests enter a reception area with an exhibition of several prototypes of different technologies and alien experiments done by different species throughout the years. A window in the ceiling shows little flying robots and are heading to a door, allowing the guests to enter their secret spot. Following these creatures, guests walk through a hallway with doors and windows that shows various lab rooms and with technological spacecraft from different species. At the end of the hallway, guests start to have encounters with guardians who wear interesting looking space outfits. In that area, they can play with hands-on experiments, such as a big wall that lights up according to the level of force. The ceiling lights and lasers conduct guests to the mission control area, which is inside a supergalactic spaceship with computers and windows, creating the illusion that guests are on the way to another galaxy. Doors open and guests walk to the first floor. They are informed that they will embark on a journey through using the technology of the first spacecraft. In this zone, guests have the opportunity to explore the training area that consists of 2 rotors. While this happens, the people in the cafe can enjoy the view of the supergalactic spaceship, rotors, and everything that is happening. After the ride, guests go up a ramp that takes them through a cafe and shop where they can purchase souvenirs from their trip on the first type of spacecraft technology. So now Carly will be talking more about our attraction.
So this image here shows a look at the ride area from a point earlier in the queue. So on the right, there's our mission control tower, and from there, guests enter into the rotors and then go out the exit. But while they're in the rotors, through a combination of projection mapping and practical special effects, a portal opens up in the ceiling and additional spaceships fly around above them, creating the illusion that they are taking off into space. Here is another view of the ride area, this time from the perspective of within the control tower. So here guests are sorted into groups and prepped for their mission. Our ride vehicle, the Mechatron, was the first ever winner of the Galactic Advancements of Technology Expo, or GATE, and guests can conquer the original technology. It is a chance for guests to look back in time and see how far technology has come, as well as inspire them to look into the future and imagine what could come next. Next, we'll be talking about our layout. So our attraction takes place in an underground bunker, which includes the ride area, a retail shop, and a cafe. The guests in the cafe can look over the ride area through some windows. And the color gradient in this map here shows the elevation of the ride and of the queue as the guests go along. These will be in the form of ramps. So while it goes up and down in elevation, it is still accessible to everyone. Guests enter the Mechatron from the left side of the screen there through that gray entrance. They then progress through the queue, through the rotunda, and into a showcase where they can see all of the different space travel techniques from over the years. They then progress into a Mechatron exhibit, which goes over the history and the mechanics of the actual ride itself, which features some interactive hands-on elements. They then go down some ramps and enter the staging area and ride the ride itself, and then exit through some ramps and through the gift shop. In addition, there is a maintenance area underneath the ride area, which provides easy access to the mechanical systems that make the ride work. And here are some of our emergency exits. So the guests can always access an exit no matter where they are in the building. There is one location where we have stairs, but there is an alternate method that is just ramps, so it is accessible to everyone. Next, I'll hand it over to Michael to talk some more about our layout.
So yeah, this is sort of like a bird's eye view of our attraction that highlights how each of our rotors and rooms will fit the building space that our attraction is housed in. So the red line shows the entrance path that the guests will take as they queue through the attraction, passing through the rooms that Carly just talked about. And then in the loading area, you can see that guests will have the option to choose which rotor they will decide to ride. And then the blue line shows the exit path that the guests will take as they leave the attraction and pass on to the cafe and the retail areas on the other side. And now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the spaceship technologies we are going to be displaying throughout the attraction. So the first ship I'll talk about is on the left, is known as the W-Wing. And it was developed by a nomadic alien species that inhabit asteroids and other small celestial objects. Hence, the spacecraft has a small and compact design that allows it to weave in and around space debris. And that blue streak that you see in the front is actually a laser that can cut through small objects that stand in the immediate way of the ship. The ship on the right is known as the Speed Ring. It was developed on a planet with large swaths of uninhabited land between settlements. So although the spacecraft is capable of interplanetary travel over short distances, the ship is really optimized for speedy and efficient travel over long distances, hence the aerodynamic design. And then on this slide, the ship on the left is just simply known as the Wheel. And fun fact, it was developed on a planet with the largest known radius in the observable universe. So it has 3 rings that rotate around a central cockpit. It generates rotational energy that the spacecraft converts to thrust that allows it to escape the strong gravitational pull of this planet. Because like I mentioned, it's very, very large, and it enables it to travel between other planets. And moreover, the ship is on a desert planet, as you can see in the concept art. And then the ship on the right is known as the pod, and it was developed by an alien species with a very similar DNA structure to plants. So the central globe-like area serves as a greenhouse that can store vast quantities of plant life in addition to other alien species that may be on board. And it can sustain those plant life forms over long distance space travel. Another fun fact about the ship is that it actually has the ability to execute interplanetary pollination. So it can store those seeds and DNA of plant species and transport them to other planets, as well as provide them an environment to crossbreed and create newer plant species. And now I'll be handing it off to Spencer, who will be talking about more of the spacecrafts on display.
All right, so the two ships here are primarily used on the ocean planet, and the ship on the left that looks a bit like an electric razor is called the Hammerhead, and this ship is primarily used for underwater missions, though it also has the capability to perform in the air, as well as short interplanetary missions to other water planets. And the ship on the right is called the Hydrocraft, and this ship uses water as its source of fuel to travel more efficiently, and can store large amounts of water in its tank to cover space travel. And now we'll move on to the flat ride. Mechatron is a modernized version of the classic and popular flat ride, the rotor. Here's our 3D model, and next we'll show you a guest perspective.
Welcome, humans. We hope you have enjoyed the showcase of all the spacecraft used over the years. You now have the great honor of journeying aboard the first ever space travel technology, the Mechatron. This technology may seem primitive now, but was cutting edge when first invented. That is why it was the winner of the first Galactic Advancements in Technology Expo. So as you board, please find a space against the wall, feel free to strike a pose and get ready for an unforgettable journey.
Now, the rotor is a ride in which guests enter a large cylindrical drum and lean against the walls. When the ride starts, the rotor rotates at a significantly forceful speed, and guests are stuck to the walls due to the centripetal force. But to add to the intensity, the floor of the rotor drops while guests stay suspended in the air, stuck to the walls. And after about a minute, the floor rises and the rotor slows down. This model shown here is the drum and the outside of the adult rotor, complete with a 10-foot ceiling, a 32-foot diameter, a top speed of 27.9 RPM, and a floor drop height of 3 feet. And now Jake, I'll pass it over to Jake, and he'll run through the specs and calculations of our ride.
Thank you, Spencer. So to start things off, we also looked into ASTM F2291 in order to ensure that our acceleration limits would comply for the safety of our guests. And so starting from this graph, we picked a point that would give us some space towards the outside. And so we targeted a maximum G-force in the X direction of 4 Gs and a max in the Y of 1 G as well. The total duration of our ride, we targeted for 90 seconds with our maximum rotation happening for the middle 30 seconds of the ride. We also determined, based on analysis of old models, that a floor drop of 3 feet over that second interval of 30 seconds was ideal for the excitement of the guests throughout their ride. Capacity-wise, we can fit 30 riders per rotor comfortably, and with the 90-second ride time and a 45-second unload/load time, we were able to achieve 800 riders per hour. We'll jump into some of the calculations on this next slide. Oh, okay. There it is. All righty. So jumping into a few of the calculations, I don't want to bore you guys with numbers and math, but basically this is some rotational physics that we use to calculate what our maximum rotational speed would need to be, as Spencer mentioned, at 27.93, as well as the necessary torque required for our motor. And so with this maximum free running speed of 28 RPM and a maximum torque of 39,400 foot-pounds, we were able to go and look into speccing the motor that'll drive the rotation of this rotor. So looking at SEW Eurodrive, we found the helical gear motor to be our best option. This one we found achieves a 43,000 foot-pound stall torque and a free running speed of 33 RPM, both with a factor of safety above the needed numbers. We'll be using a friction coupling to mount the output shaft of the motor to the rotor platform itself, and operating with three-phase electric power is going to enable us to maintain the necessary output torque we need at all times. The next element required for this ride, right, is that floor drop. And so in order to withstand the weight of all these people, but also the entire floor, we were looking for some heavy-duty linear actuators. So the linear actuator shown here has a 3-foot max stroke, and it is able to drop at 10 inches per second. Our ride is only needing 8.4 inches per second, and so once again, that gives us that factor of safety. These motors are also capable of withstanding 4.5 thousand pounds force at that max stroke length of 36 inches. And so between our 6 actuators on the ride, it'll easily cover that 16,750 pound weight study we performed. And then I think I'll pass it back to Bailey now.
Yes, we're having some slow delays here, but yeah, so let's go into some safety explanation here. So as we kind of mentioned earlier, we wanted to hit a lot of the safety, and Sarah from the safety team, who will be presenting more tomorrow, really helped us out with what we were trying to hit with this. And so with the ASTM F2291, we decided to stick with section 6 and section 7. So section 6 talks about the restraints. And so we're an unrestrained vehicle because the guests are just standing against the wall, and then it's the forces that are keeping them there. So with this, we kind of had to look to the past of past rotors and gravitrons that have done this. And so we say they're service proven systems, so we're okay to do how they've been doing it. And with that, we kind of had our wall height at 10 feet. We saw that a couple of them had around 7 feet for their wall height, but we wanted to add a little bit more for that safety aspect. And then for section 7, the acceleration limits, here we have 2 graphs where you can see the front back acceleration, which is what is holding the person against the wall as it gets up to that, is just below 4 Gs. And then for the Y acceleration, which is like what's happening when you're spinning up and then speeding back down, is only at 1 G. And for ADA, so we are not an ADA approved attraction itself, just because the guests would have to stand up during that time, but we are an ADA approved building and queue space. So if the guests wanted to travel with their family and get that experience, but then just wait for them in the cafe or the retail space, they totally can. And so with that, we have a clear space for the hallways of 5 feet, giving ample room to move about. And then all of our ramps have a slope of 112 throughout the building. And then for the Florida building code, kind of similar stuff with the 5 feet and the ramp slope of 112. But we also, as you can see on the right, have all of our exits marked, and all of them lead directly to public access. So they're not just trying to wander around in case of emergency, they have a clear place to go. So yeah, with that, we're gonna watch a quick exit video of our attraction.
Welcome back. Wow, that was a crazy experience. Can you believe how far space travel technology has come? Well, now you can say with pride that you have conquered the first ever spacecraft technology. Thank you for joining us here at Mechatron Ready for Launch. We hope you will enjoy the rest of your time here at the Expo.
Level completed.
Awesome. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and big thank you to management for helping us through this whole process, and to the great team that helped put this together, and to all the mentors that were able to give some touch points on this. So thank you guys so much. We had a blast putting it together.
Awesome. Well done, everybody. That was fantastic. I love watching the POVs because it gets me really excited. It makes me want it to be a real attraction. For everyone joining us on YouTube and even in the Zoom call, in the YouTube description for the live stream, we have posted the links to things we've been mentioning. But other than that, let's move on to the Suburb Dark Ride. Matthias and team.
Hello, all. I'm working on sharing my screen right now. Awesome. So, hello, everybody. I'm Matthias Baker. I'm the lead of STEP's Suburb Dark Ride team. Over the course of the summer, my team and I have been working to put together this little ride that we have affectionately titled the Zimblies AirV Adventure. As stated before, I'm Matthias Baker.
I am Sochi Solorzano.
I'm Alex Zvornak.
I am Cameron Clark.
I'm Christian Roberts. And we wanted to give a huge shout out to our mentor, Tiffany, who's been so kind and helpful over the course of this summer, not only providing us with regular and insightful feedback, but also taking time out of her busy schedule to just answer our questions about the industry. We really appreciate you a ton. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Okay, so here you can see an overview of the presentation that we're going to be doing for you today. It shirks the more traditional structure of presenting deliverables, and instead we wanted to basically run through our story with y'all. And we basically, yeah, we want to take you on the scenic route all across the galaxy. So our ride is just your typical alien family vacation.
All right, so with that, here's the overall layout of the ride. First on the left, you can see the virtual queue space that will go into more detail later. Then from the right next to that is the pre-show room, and that leads into the 2 loading rooms. And there's a maintenance bay right above it for easy access to the vehicles. And so once the guest loading occurs, they venture through the 4 main showrooms that you can see there, containing a blend of digital and physical sets for full immersion.
So this first area will be our virtual queue, based on a campsite in Stargrove National Park. Guests will enter the virtual queue space through a mountain facade, hiding this idyllic gate campsite from the hustle and bustle of Stargrove proper. From there, they'll be able to explore this AirV park in whatever order they choose. After checking in with a ranger, guests will be able to play lawn games with their party, or relax in a shaded community area, or explore the AirV parking lot to see trailers from across the galaxy. They can play and interact with a talking bird, or simply enjoy the scenery. This space, while enclosed, will also remain a safe and accessible place for guests to explore on their own. Each attraction within this campsite will be ADA compliant. By eliminating pathways and allowing guests to explore on their own, we allow both ambulatory and wheelchair-based guests to explore at their own pace. Any play areas, like the lawn play area, will have soft ground according to the practices described in ASTM F2479. In case of extreme weather, there are indoor experiences for guests to experience as well without getting wet. In case of an emergency, this space will have 3 emergency exits, so that guests anywhere in the campsite can easily find and navigate to their nearest exit. This is also in accordance with the required exits for our space according to the Florida Building Code. Once guests are notified through their mobile devices, their adventure begins in earnest. They'll meet Ranger Jumble, who will introduce them to the Zimblies. The Zimblies are the latest presentation family at Gate, showing off their brand new technology. Zara Zimbly is the matriarch of the family, with a knack for describing complicated technical ideas in lay terms. Glick Zimbly is the second matriarch of the family, the source of these complicated technical ideas, always tinkering and playing with anything she can find. Dot is their toddler, a wide-eyed, big-hearted kid just here for the adventures of Gate. Antares will round out the family as their lovable and only slightly broken AI assistant. All of these characters will appear throughout the ride in both digital and physical media. Guests will join the Zimblies for a tour of their AirV, but when Glick discovers that their presentation notes are back at home, the Zimblies will get in their rocket car and tow the AirV along for a quick detour before the presentation. So this is the AirV as it will appear to the guest. It's a trackless omnidirectional mover built around the Oceaneering Revolution system. Guests will load in from the sides as the shield around them will lift in the station. All guests will be able to load into this vehicle as well, as ADA-compliant vehicles leave space for wheelchairs and other ambulation aids. The vehicle will be based on a retrofuturistic RV, merged with the traditional camper that you'd find in a place like Yellowstone today. The AirV has a Class 2 restraint system made up of a group lap bar. While the accelerations on our ride will likely not be greater than those in the Class 1 area, the additional restraint will serve to keep guests, especially curious children, from leaving the ride to explore the dynamic show sets. To keep guests safe, we have to keep them in their seats. Pressure pads beside the car's pathways, infrared cameras monitored by operations, and laser monitoring will allow the ride or room to shut down in case a guest leaves the ride vehicle. The shell of the vehicle will also serve to limit access into and out of the ride vehicle while the ride is in motion. Once our guests have loaded into the AirV, they'll take off for the Zimbli's home planet. To pick up from here, Sochi will take off the adventure further.
So once guests load into the convertible AirV being towed from behind the Zimbli's vehicle, they zip out of the camper garage and hit the open road. Wind in their hair, they head towards Cosmic Peak and their adventure begins. And with that, Glick then commands, "Antares, take us home." The vehicle enters a long tunnel chamber with swirling colors projected around it as the Zimpleys and their guests are transported across the galaxy. Although, you may notice suspicious glitching through the portal tunnel that just does not feel right. The vehicle then emerges in the middle of a suburban town with very distinct architecture and color from Stargrove. It's a combination of fabricated set pieces, props, and digital screens showing the neighborhood. The Zimbleys pull into their driveway and the vehicle stops in front of a screen. Glick then hops out of the car and runs into the house grabbing their meeting notes. Once she returns with the much valued item, they are ready to return back to Gate.
With the presentation notes in their hands and now having us have seen that new planet, we're ready to finally open back up our portal and head back down to Gate. So Zara yells, "Antares, take us back to Gate." To which, unfortunately, Dot responds,
"When we get there, can we get a snow cone?"
Antares glitching sends them not to a Gate, but to a snow planet, miles and miles and miles and miles away. It's a tundratic planet with snow swirling around them and big white fluffy hills. They don't really realize what happened until finally, when they take their bearings and see that they're not at Gate, they must realize that Antares' voice activation control has been acting up a little bit. So while Glick is tinkering and tinkering at it, we're going down this snowy hill, almost like a toboggan ride. But as we move further and further, we see something ahead of us that looks like a blank white canvas. And we see it grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Until eventually we realize it's not a canvas at all. It is a giant snow hill right ahead of us. And if we don't get this portal to work soon, we're gonna crash into it for a chilly adventure, not the way we thought it would go. And right before we hit the mountain, Glick finally tinkers with it just the right way and yells, "Antares, take us back to Gate." To which Dot then unfortunately responds,
"Seriously though, can we get some dessert?"
Location.
Desert. Again, the portal technology acts up, sending them not to Gate, but to a desert planet. Antares confused dessert and desert. It could happen to any of us, really. But this desert planet is not like the others. There's strange rock formations, dust that settles in the air, and very odd shapes contorting cacti every which way. As Glick once again gets to tinkering, we notice that something about this planet, this desert, this wasteland is just a little bit too peaceful, a little bit too quiet. Strange rumblings start emerging from out of nowhere. The whole room starts to shake and vibrate, and we realize that those rock formations aren't rock formations at all, but a giant millipedious monster that bursts out of the ground, snatching and clutching at the family and now us as well. We need to get out. We need to get this portal working as quick as we can before it gets us. Right when it takes its final bite, lunging right at the vehicle, Glick finally hits the portal just right and yells, "Antares, take us back to Gate." Now this time, the family is wised up. Zara immediately puts her hands right over the mouth of Dot, muffling her so she can't speak.
So, The location confirmed, deep space. So after escaping the desert planet, the Zimblies are teleported into outer space. They first start by entering a narrow corridor in which they can see a starry night sky. With projection screens, they can see 1, 2 asteroids flying by. That's when they realize that they are not just simply traveling through space, but being sucked towards something. They realize that they're being drawn towards a large room in outer space with asteroids swirling around a giant black hole, a big swirling vortex. Here's a representation of the guests in the AirV nearly being pulled in. We also have an animation showing the positions, and we can walk through exactly the story beat by beat. At position 1, the guests are in the narrow corridor where they see the starry night sky and the asteroids flying by via projection. They then enter the room at position 2, facing the outer wall. This is when they see the asteroids swirling by, even their luggage as well is being pulled away. At this point, they also have their teleportation device ripped from the AirV and swirling around the vortex with them. As this teleportation device gets sucked in, this is when they realize they have to get closer and closer to the center of the vortex just to retrieve the device. Otherwise, they have no chance at escape. So with this daring retrieval, they eventually get to position 6, where they engage in a tug of war with the pull of the vortex's gravity. After engaging the rear thrusters, they can finally make their escape, where they then enter our exit corridor, where they can then portal back to their final location. Now, to achieve this large centerpiece, we used projection technology with a large sphere in the center of the room. Solutions already exist on the market for large concert spaces, which we could easily adapt to this showroom. For example, we have the Pacific Dome's 40-foot diameter projection sphere. Now, ours will not be quite as large, but still an imposing figure at 20 feet, so this solution is viable. To make sure it fits in the showroom and to have the large diameter near the floor for both a stable base and an imposing figure, we'll have a 3/4 sphere. So with 15 feet, it'll be able to fit in the room while still having a large diameter. Now, to get this large imposing figure in and out of the showroom, it is made of geodesic triangular panels for easy fabrication and testing, then disassembly to be transported to the site, and then installed on site in the showroom from there. Since these panels can also be disassembled, this allows for easy maintenance if needed after the ride has been fully installed. So with this large technology, we can create the imposing figure of a vortex at the center of the room, where the family is nearly pulled in, but escapes and portals away to their final location. With that, they say, Antares, take us back to gate.
Nice. And with that, the Zimblies and the guests make it back to the suburbs relatively unscathed. However, upon returning and unfolding the presentation notes that they picked up from home, they discover that they grabbed the wrong thing. Each time through, guests will hear Glick's exasperation as she reads off the title of a different document that they accidentally grabbed instead of the speaker notes, be it an intergalactic cookie recipe, or maybe it's just Dot's photo book. In the end, it doesn't matter so much because they can just do it again. So like we said at the top, just your typical alien family vacation. Thank you all so much. And a huge shout out to management and everyone that put this whole project together and the whole team. All of y'all are awesome. But yeah, thanks everyone who came to see our work today.
Well done, everybody. That was absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, via Zoom, we can't hear everybody applauding, but I watched everybody do it. Well done, everybody. And you didn't have a POV, but I didn't need one, Alec. You were so enthusiastic that I felt like I was on the ride. I loved it. folks, we have a 30-minute break till we come back. Actually, a 35-minute break till we come back for the downtown teams. So now you can, I guess, leave the Zoom call if you want to, leave the YouTube and come back to it if need be. Go to the restroom, get a drink, go eat some lunch or some breakfast, depending on what time it is there. But thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, well done, Suburb teams. That was fantastic. I'm super proud of all of you.
Before everyone heads out, I would like to remind you that we do have the Summer Themed Entertainment Project store open, selling Stargrove merch, gate merch, and step merch, with all proceeds going to Give Kids the World Village. The link is in the description of the YouTube channel, or in the description of the YouTube video.
Along with that, also in the description of the YouTube channel is a feedback and question form. So if you have any feedback for any of our teams or any questions you'd like answered, please go ahead and check out the description and you can find that form link. In addition, that store that Jess mentioned, merch will be updated throughout the coming week. So there will be more stuff added, but yeah, get some stuff, support charity.
We will see you all in a little.
See you soon.
Mike, can you share that screen with that image I sent you earlier, please? It's in the management
Will
chat.
do. I'll get right on it.
Perfect, thank you.
Hey, Mike, as we are 8 minutes away from starting up again, do you have a joke for me? Mr. Comedy Central over there. Cameras turn on. Everybody's getting excited, ready for the joke.
The pressure.
Well, putting me on the spot, and I couldn't even get my mic to be unmuted. Ooh.
AJ in the chat, what? Having mic problems, Mike?
Yeah, I was having mic problems, and now I'm having joke telling problems, apparently. Wow, how much more on the spot could I be right now?
What about all the ones from the networking night?
So take Mike off the spot just a little bit. If there's anybody in the Zoom call or in YouTube that's paying attention right now, if you have a joke, feel free to post that as well, and one of us will read it out loud.
Or if you're on the call, unmute and say it.
Yeah.
Oh,
says, go ahead.
No, you read it. You read it. I'm not funny.
Finn says, why do fish live in salt water?
Why?
Hi, Finn.
They don't only live in salt water, though. If they lived in pepper water, they would sneeze all the time.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay, I got one. Ready?
Yeah.
So if Stargrove had a whole bunch of trees and stuff in it, it would be Star Forest.
Leave right now. Presentation's over, everyone. No, I'm joking, but like.
Oh, I got another one. If Stargrove was at the bottom of a valley that happened to be underwater, it'd be the Star Trench. Equally as bad and makes less sense, but I found it pretty funny.
I'm just going to take a moment, Etienne. I'm sorry because it is always late there when we have Zoom meetings with you. So I hope it doesn't go too late this one.
No worries.
What time is it for you right now, out of curiosity?
It's not too bad. It's 8:30 p.m.
Okay.
Okay,
we're doing good. But please.
If one rocket had like a very cute attraction with another rocket and people are like, oh, they're so cute together, it would be a spaceship. Yeah. Pretty good. Because they like each other and you ship them to rockets. Ooh, yeah. Ooh.
AJ, I will allow it.
These are the puns.
Oh my god. All right. Anyone else? Anyone else got anything? I know y'all have stuff because of that networking session we had.
I wonder how many people are actively listening.
There's 35 people watching the YouTube stream right now. So to our 35 viewers, hello. Okay, I have another joke. So 185 aliens walk into the bar and the bartender says, "I'm sorry, we're closing up right now. We can't serve you anything right now." And the aliens are like, "Okay, we'll get out of this world." Because they're aliens, they go out of the world.
Oh, no.
You at least have Paige laughing in from the YouTube channel.
Wait, she is? Oh, wait, I missed all of these.
Thank you, Paige.
Wait, why isn't she in here?
We've got Emmanuel posting r/dad jokes.
I was gonna say, where's Jared? Jared always has a very good selection. I think he's gone.
One of the r/dad jokes is, "Just got offered a job teaching poetry in prison. I spent all night thinking about the pros and cons."
Great.
Funny jokes here, funny jokes.
If you add an S to the word even, it becomes odd. Oh, no, this is gonna be a rabbit hole I go down now.
All of you.
I like the other one, but I'm not gonna read it. Oh, Finn's got another one. Less of a joke, more of a mind teaser.
Last one, then we have to get started again.
I'm working on a crossword puzzle and I need a word for an overwhelmed postal worker. I'm not sure. Anybody?
I don't have anything.
It is 11:40.
It is 11:40, so I'll stop sharing my screen. We can get back to the presentation.
Awesome. Well, welcome back, everybody. Thanks for tuning in for the first half. We're excited to introduce you to the downtown. Real quick before I pass it off to Jess, I want to go over the story again for those of you who are joined or just joining us and missed our little story intro this morning. So our park is called Stargrove, and this is an intergalactic park where beings from all over the galaxy have come together to celebrate GATE, which is the Galactic Advancements in Technology Expo. So some attractions will touch upon this concept of GATE. Some of them will heavily use it in their attractions, which you'll see it with the Nighttime Spectacular, especially at the end of these presentations. And also in addition to that, Stargrove is comprised of two areas, the suburbs, which presentations just ended for, which was our residential area, and downtown, which Jess will explain. Other than that, that's pretty much all you need for the backstory. So I'll pass it off.
So for those of you who are just now tuning in, we are about to talk about our downtown teams. The downtown Stargrove is the industrial hub of the area. It is home to all of the entertainment centers, all of the education centers, all of the places where people can go to learn and work and create. It is also the home of most of the companies that are developing inventions and creations for the GATE Expo. Before we get started, I would like to mention that we do still have that feedback form open. Mike is sending it in the YouTube chat. If you have any comments or feedback that you would like to give to any of the teams, please click the link and don't be afraid to submit. Without further ado, let's get started with our Downtown Dark Ride team.
All right, hello everyone. Let me share screens. Can everyone see the presentation? Okay, cool. Actually, let me change one setting. There we go, it should be good now. So hello everyone, we're the Downtown Dark Ride team. We were tasked with creating a dark ride for the downtown area of the park, and our concept is called Cosmic Countdown, Time Travel Adventure. So we'd like to introduce ourselves to start off. So my name is Liam Olive. I'm going in my 3rd year as a mechanical engineering student at UCLA, and I worked as the attraction manager.
Hi, my name is River Watts. I'm a 3rd year aerospace engineering major at San Diego State, and I worked on the layout for the attraction.
Hi, my name is Jack Keaton. I'm going into my 2nd year at UCLA as a statistics major, and I did the concept art.
Hi, my name is Brian Tran. I'm a 3rd year at San Diego State, and I'm a mechanical engineering major with an emphasis in bioengineering.
Hi, I'm Brian, and I'm studying bio and film in my 3rd year at UCLA, and I was in charge of working on the story and 3D modeling.
All right, awesome.
So this is our attraction poster, and our log line is, guests are sent whirling through space and time to experience the star grove of the past. From navigating dense jungles to the floating highways of chrome cityscapes, guests follow the progress of civilization, but will soon find out that the future is in jeopardy. It's up to guests and Dr. Flabagos to save the day and rescue Star Grove.
So some basic attraction info to start off. Our ride system consists of a tracked EMV motion base, a simulator type ride through the dark ride environments. The attraction size, including all queue space, is around 170,000 square feet. The attraction length, not including the queue experience, is around 10 minutes, with top speeds of the ride vehicle being around 4 miles an hour, and our hourly capacity is right around 1,400.
This is the facade for the Institute of Interstellar Innovation, which was established to showcase the inventions and history of the Gate Expo. The main showroom is housed on the left part of the building, and the entrance and courtyard area on the right side under the clear dome. The queue is housed on the 2nd story inside the wave-like form of the building.
Right, so we'd like to take you guys first through typical guest experience for our attraction, all the way through entering the facade, which you just saw, to unload. So the experience begins in the courtyard, as Jack mentioned. You enter on the left side beneath the Cosmic Countdown sign into this open air courtyard. On top of it is a clear glass dome, and there's a lot of vegetation to kind of counteract all the chrome that's been used in the facade and in the interior. So there's plenty of vegetation, this open air courtyard, and a fountain in the middle where you can see the exit and entrance routes. From there, you'll take stairs up to the 2nd floor where our main queue is housed.
Here is our AutoCAD layout of the queue. I'll quickly address some of the safety standards that we took into account. The queue path itself has a minimum clear width of 36 inches and clear length of 48 inches. Door openings are a minimum of 32 inches wide. At least 2 exits are a minimum separation distance of 1/2 the length of the maximum overall dimensions of the queue area. The layout itself has no 180-degree turns, only going as far as 90 degrees. Our queue features a unique no-touch interactive system. Guests are given 3D printed wristbands, shown here as a SolidWorks part. At the wristband dispenser that's displayed in blue and black at the beginning of the layout, the wristband is made of a flexible filament and is intended to be reusable as well. The dispensers have visual graphics that can easily explain the interactive component for guests. Guests will hover their wristband across these glowing spots on the interactive walls. These glowing spots could either be red, blue, or yellow. Only matching corresponding wristband colors will be able to activate them. This is possible through the use of photoelectric diffuse proximity sensors. After each activation by a certain amount of guests, the power cores at each holographic projection, labeled 6 on the layout, will grow with intensity until it activates the projection effect itself. There will also be some large physical prop/set areas consisting of inventions from the first gate collaboration connecting the ride and the queue more explicitly. These inventions themselves worked hand in hand with the projections to build context, priming guests for the experience they're about to step into. The projections give some background on what each invention does and builds on the first gate collaboration. By establishing the new norm in the queue, riders can fully immerse themselves before stepping onto the ride itself. Altogether, the elements in the queue introduce the guests to the attraction in bite-sized components with just a wave of their wrist.
So
Lastly, we have.
sorry.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Lastly, we have our theoretical facility impact sheet. This sheet takes into account how each component of the queue interacts with the facility itself. Considerations such as facility wall blockages, power sources, attachment methods, control sources, and element dimensions are determined with each individual component. These dimensions were also derived from the AutoCAD layout directly for consistency as well.
So after going through our immersive queue, you'll take stairs down to our loading platform where you'll first see our vehicle. So like I said before, it's an EMV tracked vehicle with a hexapod that's shown here in the bottom right, with 6 electric actuators that allow for 6 degrees of freedom. And the reason we wanted to include this was, of course, time traveling is not a smooth ride. There's going to be some bumps along the way, along your adventure. So we just want to give a little excitement and fun moments along the attraction. The main vehicle is made of aluminum A60 composite. It's relatively strong, so it can handle high load capacity, but also decreases the weight that's put onto the base of the vehicle. So we want to go for a more vintage vibe relative to the retro futurism of the rest of the park. So we found these car types called Norman Tibbs cars that look retro futuristic, but also antique. So it kind of fits in with the whole Time Travel Institute feeling that we're going for. As you can see on the top right in the exploded view, you can see the 6 electric actuators and then the top ring that the vehicle chassis sits on. So this is our final vehicle concept. There's 3 rows of 4 seats each to have 12 guests on any one vehicle. You can see the hexapod base under the shell assembly and then the tracked base. So we did some basic vehicle research and we determined that there would be 4 main components to our vehicle. The bogies, which would act using a guide rail to guide the vehicles along the track, the turntable system, which sits in the base and it allows 360 degrees of motion for the vehicle. The reason we included that was we wanted a very immersive environment in our ride. We want guests to be immersed in the time travel in the world of Stargrove. So allowing them to not just see a flat scene cutout, but to be able to rotate around and see the sets from all angles really adds to the believability. The electric actuators, like I said, add little fun movements to the ride, and the rigid chassis sits on top. So we're dealing with around 20-inch wide seats, which is pretty standard. We worked with a 13-foot clearance with the entire ride vehicle taking up around 12 feet by 9 feet. You can see an exploded view of the parts I just described in the bottom right. Then also, since we're doing an EMV ride, we wanted to have some basic vehicle animation to show you typical, jolts that we can give guests to create fun moments. Here's a little shorter one of it going to the left, a little bit forward from the top view. And then again, you can see how the actuators are working to create that movement from below, along with the turntable being able to rotate it.
All right, for our layout, some background info here. So the light blue on the top is our outdoor courtyard area for the entrance and exit. These 2 dark gray areas are the unload on the left, load on the right. And then the rest of the show scenes that are blocked off are colored in a heat map that's supposed to show like a guest experience excitement level. So with like deep red being the most exciting scene and then like a blue or purple being the least exciting. So we start here in this oval shape, which is our dual loading center. So there's a lot quicker loading here with the two, allows our throughput to be a lot higher and more efficient. They start here, go through our turntable, which Liam will talk about more. They go through here, which allows for multiple cars, about 3 groups, to view one scene at a time and turn through. They come through a transition here, which is like our star field, and show up in the yellow section down here in the jungle, which is supposed to show like early alien life. And then they come through a little transition point down here in the green to a factory and farmhouse. And that will lead to kind of start to see like the production of the city, and it will lead into a more futuristic city here in the red. We decided to go for like a very expansive show set to show off like a really deep city, and so they can get a feel of scale. And then they travel here through this little light green area, which is our media room, and back through the city and into the lab down here in the blue. And then they are moving into a night scene of the city so they can see it from a different view. And then they move over here into the small little green, which is our help beacon for the story, and moving into a factory right here in the orange, and then move up through like a celebration and warehouse scene, and then to our unload section here. Some unique features that we had to deal with is in order to optimize and maximize our space for the track, we decided to move our queue upstairs. So while they enter through on the first floor for the outdoor area, they come up pretty much stairs right here on the entrance. And so they go to a second floor queue. That way we can use pretty much the entire first floor for track. And then they'll come downstairs into the dual loading area. And that is it for the layout.
This is our dual loading area with small gardens growing the Adoxberry, a focal point of our story, and a large statue of Professor Flabigus, the main character of our ride. Guests will board their vehicles and are then motioned into the professor's study. Inside the study, Professor Flabigus debriefs the guests on their time travel back to key points of the planet's history in order to learn of Gate Expo's origins. This room also showcases a holographic effect, showing the planet and time the guests are traveling to. The ride vehicle then backs out of the room through an LED starfield into a dark, mysterious jungle. Inside this prehistoric jungle, the guests get close-up encounters with the flora and fauna of the planet, its early inhabitants, and most importantly, guests get their first look of the glowing Adoxberry in the wild, the planet's main energy source. Guests then time jump into a factory in the future. Inside this factory, they see the Adoxberry being farmed and processed for its energy, as well as a young Professor Flabigus explaining the scientific properties of the berry and its use in their society. Guests then exit the factory and pass through the city gates, where they are met with an expansive, shining cityscape with large domed houses and brightly colored advertisements. The entire city is powered by the Adoxberry, and the guests start to see the abuse of this natural resource. They then take a sharp turn onto a freeway into the shopping district, where they see flying cars zoom past them and get a closer look at the citizens of the city and their highly indulgent lifestyle.
And after exploring this glamorous city, guests come upon the scientists running around panicking, and it is here that they find out that the aliens have used too much of their power and resources, and that they are about to run out. So guests soon leave that room and enter a dinner party with the alien elite. But the celebration is short-lived because the skyline starts losing lights, and there's an entire blackout across the scene, and the aliens soon panic. So guests are quickly rushed out of that room and come upon the scientists once again, signaling for help. So the scientist activates a beacon, and we see spaceships coming all from directions and congregating upon this planet to come up with a solution. So then guests are congregating at the factory along with different aliens, and we see this giant collaborative effort of people constructing and soldering and just engineering a solution as quick as possible. And by the end of this scene, guests find the new invention that's connected to the whole city, and they exit the power plant, seeing the city being lit back up and the entire planet celebrating that they once again have power. And it is here where we realize that these scientists plan to meet again year after year. And that is the story of how this whole Stargrove and this GATE program started.
Then the professor will send guests back through a star field similar to the Star of Our Journey, back to the Institute, where they'll unload and have other adventures in Stargrove. So after taking you through a typical guest experience, we wanted to showcase and focus on one scene. That would be the professor's study, one of the first scenes in the attraction, and try and bring it and use our skills to develop it as fully as possible. So it started with our initial idea, a simple story beat of what the scene could be. So we knew it'd be some professor introducing the guest in his office and then instructing them and sending them back in time on their adventure.
And from this idea, we were able to come up with a script and that we used to inform just what kind of visuals we were trying to use and just to set the tone. Because as Liam was mentioning earlier, this is sort of an introduction of the space adventure. So we wanted to start off kind of very like regal and calm before the excitement builds up later.
So we then worked on, or Jack worked on some early concept art for what the scene could look like and some possibilities. We knew we would want an animatronic professor character in the middle of the room standing on a futuristic base that provides the scrim for the effect where you see the planet you're going to and time travel. Originally, we were going to use as sort of an observatory scene with screen windows on the top along the ceiling, and you would make, the vehicle would make a semicircle motion entering on the right and exiting on the left, kind of rotating around the professor character. So after that, we tried to make some 3D models in SketchUp and Blender. I tried to map out the space and some possibilities of constrictions like ride constraints and clearance envelopes to see how big the show building for this one scene would have to be. Then Brian worked in Blender and took it a step further and adding the windows and the doorways and the monkey head as a stand-in for the animatronic professor. But we soon came upon a problem because we wanted the Slalom exposition scene where the guests are starting to be immersed in their environment, accepting that time travel is possible and learning about the professor and his institute. Obviously, that's going to be somewhat of a longer scene. So how can we create a 1 to 2 minute long scene using exposition that doesn't affect our ride capacity? So the solution we came upon was a turntable system for this specific scene. So the way it works is there'll be 4 identical sets on this turntable divided by set dividers. So just copy and paste 4 times of the professor's office, the professor's animatronic, the entire set. So at any one time, 4 individual vehicles can be viewing the scene at different times in the scene, while also allowing for an increased output. So the main components we have are the set dividers, as I mentioned, some vinyl flooring on top of the turntable that spins at the same speed the ride vehicles move at, the wooden spokes, which is our main support system inside the turntable because it's relatively lightweight for being so strong, an aluminum shell that would attach to the caster wheels, which do most of the supporting and allow it to turn, along with a ball bearing on the bottom that translates that rotational motion to static, and then a bevel gear pinion system attached to a DC motor that would power the entire system. So the caster wheels specifically hold up to 40,000 pounds each, and there is a manufacturer that makes these specific types of wheels. It's a 3-foot diameter, so relatively big. The ball bearing itself, the way it works is there's 8 steel balls constrained by 2 steel rings, and it's able to translate that rotational motion from the central shaft into static, so it's able to be supported. Then the bevel gear system is made up of a large gear and a smaller pinion, and that's able to rotate the turntable vertically from that horizontal motion that's driven by the DC motor. So the biggest thing when we were designing the turntable was weight considerations, because it's around 50 feet in diameter. It's pretty heavy. So it weighs about 206,000 pounds. Before it weighed around 2.8 million, but then we replaced the material with wood to make it lighter weight, so it's easier to support. The caster wheels each support around 40,000 pounds, like I mentioned earlier, but we took into account a factor of safety of 2, which is relatively high. So it's a very safe system. And then the total weight that needs to be supported is around 236,000, which is still under that maximum capacity of 240,000. And I have an animation of showing the different parts that go into the turntable. So that aluminum shell, that's 3 inches thick, the wooden spokes, and then the vinyl flooring. So here's a stripped down animation of the turntable working with the gears and the shafts before we add facility space and walls. And then we made a drawing sheet dimensioning how big this turntable would need to be. It's around 42 feet in diameter. The show set depth is around 20 feet deep, which is a decent amount for 4 identical sets. And it's around 40 feet in height. So this would sit on the first floor where the caster wheels are, and then this would go into a below ground maintenance facility for the gear and pinion system. So this is what the final product looks like with facility space and the bus bar track added. And then with that added, this is what it would look like from a top-down view of it rotating, relatively slow, around 0.1 RPM to get a little bit of a longer scene. And then this is a final animation showing the vehicles moving in. So it works kind of like a rotating glass door, where one vehicle moves in to start the show scene just as one moves out into the Starfield room to begin their time travel adventure. All the while, 2 other vehicles are watching the scene at different points in time. So it all works together to create a long exposition scene that's important to our story, but also allowing for an increased hourly capacity.
So to develop this scene further, we took Jack's sketch and I put it into Blender and slowly added details, and we went back and forth just trying to figure out what kind of props we would like to have on this scene. And we also took the same model that Liam came up with and made sure that everything fit into that scale. And that was, yeah, the animatronic is also like a standard size. And if we check the next slide, you can see what the final result looked like. This was also just made in Blender, and it's just a simple model, and we can develop that further if we'd like. And if you see the next slide, you can see some more detail on the character sculpt. And this is based off of the concept art from D'Angelo. And yeah, it's just the alien professor who will be greeting guests and just introducing them to the story. And if we take a look at the next slide, this is a blowout of the scene, and it's easier to see exactly what props are involved. And this, you can look at the codes, and that translates to the facility impact sheet that's on the next slide. And here, every single prop is isolated, and its purpose and its needs are placed to the right. And this way, people who are involved in the project can see exactly who's in charge of what item in this show scene, because there's going to presumably be a lot of people involved. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time, everyone.
We just want to end by saying thank you to our mentor, Jeff, who always made time to meet with us and give us valuable advice, and the whole STEP team, especially the management team, for putting this project together. I personally have had an amazing time working on this, and I'm really proud of what we created and met some wonderful people. So thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Awesome job, guys. That was incredible. Really great job. I mean it. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. Next up is our downtown roller coaster team.
All right, we'll have that pulled up in just a moment for you here. All right, can everybody see that? Cool. All right, well, hello everyone. I'm Addison Cram. A lot of you might know me as AJ, and I'm the team leader of our team called themselves the Space Racers, as we've been working on our project, the Downtown Roller Coaster Flyers Education, also the Starfield Department of Flying Vehicles. So, as I said, we're going to start with some introductions. I am AJ. I am the official team leader, And I am a student of mechanical engineering.
And I'm Bailey. I'm a fourth year ME major at Georgia Tech, and I focused on concept art and 3D modeling.
My name is Cameron Jones. I'm a second year mechanical engineering student at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, and I worked on the modeling and animation.
Hi, I'm Michael Drahamarecki. I'm a junior in civil engineering at Purdue University, and I worked on the 3D layout.
Hi, I'm Sydney, and I'm a fourth year mechanical engineering major at UC San Diego, and I worked on modeling and assembly.
So we're going to start with discussing some of the goals for our ride experience with Flyers Education. We were looking to make a fun-loving and whimsical aerial adventure, something that would complement the far more intense tone of the Suburbs roller coaster team. We also wanted to give guests a chance to experience what everyday life is like in Stargrove, maybe not one of the highfalutin adventures off on another planet that's something crazy and behind the scenes, but just a regular slice of life. And finally, we wanted to offer a reminder to riders both young and old that you can do anything you set your mind to. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to Bailey to talk about the story.
Awesome. So to go through the story, we're just going to step through some of the storyboards that we created. So we'll get right on that. So the guests are able to enter the Stargrove Department of Flying Vehicles building, and they are greeted by a row of super excited attendants. And they are able to go through that and get their number and join a virtual queue, which then allows them to either leave the building and come back for their time, or to stay and explore some of the options that the building has. So some things that we're hoping to incorporate are a flyer's license picture, where you can take your picture, and then once you're done riding, you can purchase some souvenirs with it on it saying, hey, look, I was able to fly a car successfully. And then another option is having a written test where you can go over some ins and outs of how to properly fly a car. And then once your time is up, you can join the short little queue before the ride where you can meet the instructors as seen in the bottom left little panel. And then you can hop on your little car coaster and go up in an elevator that'll take you to the top of the DMV building, and then begin your journey, which will start with a downward launch because you don't really know what you're doing quite yet. So got to get the handle of it. And then next we will have the scene where you're dodging oncoming traffic, which is kind of scary for a first-time flyer. And then we'll go into something a little bit more calm where you're just practicing changing lanes, going up and down and side to side since you are in the air. And then we'll be going over the park scene where the engine suddenly cut out and you're kind of scared because, oh my gosh, we're falling towards the ground, SOS help. And you're able to throw it in reverse up to a nearby building and then calmly resume your journey. And it goes over the water where you can have a nice little scenery image. And then you end your ride by parallel parking that car, which is the most difficult time, but hey, you did it. And then on to some concept art. So at the first one, we have our car concept art. We started off with 9 different options of possible vehicles, and we chose number 2. And so on the right-hand side, you can see a little bit more detail for that. And that's what we based our car on. And then next we have the DMV building, which was done by the lovely Paige for the concept team. And this just showcases the entrance that you'll go into to start that queue space. And then finally, we have our concept art where you're just walking around downtown and you can see the flying car zooming ahead over you as you are enjoying your downtown experience. And now back to AJ for the layout.
Hi, everyone. It's me again. So our ride experience centers around the Stargrove Department of Flying Vehicles. So we drafted a very detailed building plan for said Department of Flying Vehicles. What you can see here is the top-down view of both the virtual queue space, the actual queue space, and the ride loading station and the elevator lifts. All of these are rolled into this space. So some of the key features are up here, we have a sign up essentially at the start of the virtual queue, including an ADA compatible accessibility route. From there, you're free to explore the space, including some of the interactive DMV windows and the other interactive elements, like the written test. From there, your virtual queue finishes and you're able to go through to the check-in desk. But once again, ADA guests have their own route, which takes them straight through to a lift that leads them down to the load and unload platform. That also incorporates some of the thematic elements that non-ADA guests are able to see by going into this adaptable length queue space where there's features such as meeting instructors and something else that can go in this room. That might change every day. Eventually, you go down a set of stairs into the dual loading and unloading platform. The dual loading and unloading means that we can dispatch a train approximately every 15 seconds. So we'll talk about what that means for capacity a little later on. After riders go up the elevator lift and through their ride layout, they come back over here where they're eventually able to unload onto the dual unloading platform and exit via a bridge back to the main pathway. So from there, we'd like to take it over to the actual 2D layout. This is again the Starboard Department of Flying Vehicles building, including the elevators. Once you have gone up those elevators, you come out to this first launch. You launch off the edge of the building through a series of turns, through this dodging traffic scene, more turns, changing lanes. You come to a stop, and after a bit of wind up, go through the second, a much larger launch that takes you up to flying above the level of the city, eventually going through that complicated reversing launch in the courtyard, and through a vertical loop, some more high altitude turning and maneuvering, the high-speed skim across the water at the end, finally braking and coming to a stop and going to the parallel parking sequence, which turns out is a little bit easier than you might remember because it's a flying car and it can just hover sideways. From there, there's some more block breaks before finally return to the end. And with that, I'd like to go ahead and hand it over to Sydney to talk about the 3D models of the show scenes and buildings. Oh,
So yeah, now
my apologies.
Yeah, thank you. Now we're moving on to the 3D models of the show scenes and buildings. So first off, we have an animation for the traffic dodging scene. And in this animation, the blue car represents the ride vehicle, while the yellow cars are the oncoming traffic, which, while actually stationary, appear to be rushing towards the rider as the vehicle dodges around it. Then in our next animation, we have the an animation for the lane changing scene, where similar to the last scene, the blue cars represent the ride vehicle and the yellow cars are part of the show set. But in this scene, the show set cars actually move alongside the ride vehicle as it swoops down to change lanes. And the show set cars are designed to move slightly slower than the ride vehicle, giving riders a greater sense of speed. And next we have the 3D model of the courtyard. This is where the reversing scene takes place. And in this scene, the train enters at a great height by the purple building, diving directly towards the ground before reversing into the green building and exiting over the pink arch. Next, I would like to throw it over to Sydney.
Thank you, Cameron. Next slide, please. So when we were designing the ride vehicle, we took inspiration from many different rides, such as Hagrid's motorbike and Rocky Roller Coaster, and even some lesser known ones, such as the spinning coaster from CJ Barrymore's. From the chassis and bogie to the seats, you may find some resemblance from these rides as we walk you through the ride vehicle. Here are some of our initial designs and concepts of the train. Initially, we did not use a zero car at the front of the train and had our bogies attached to the center of the chassis. But after further research, without going into deep on the technical aspects, we realized that this would not be ideal. With all that said, here is the final version of the ride vehicle. It is a 6x2 train with 4 guests per car. We try to envision what a flying car would look like, while also bringing in modern car elements to convey the idea that this is similar to how you would drive to school or to work, because at the end of the day, we want you to start flying as soon as possible. Moving on to the interior of the ride vehicle, we include 4 must-haves in any car, and those are a steering wheel lap bar plus display, a surround sound audio system, an armrest, and a seat cushion that is topped off with our famous Stargrove logo. Because you are our special guest, we wanted to please you with the utmost luxury treatment to make you feel comfortable as you take your flying test. And if that's not enough, we also took into account of ADA accessibility, starting with real-time captioning on the display. As our driving instructors provide direction to you, you will be able to see exactly what they ask of you, whether it is turning up or down or even jumping off a building. If you want to pass, you must do whatever they ask of you. And this time, if you are someone with hearing loss or deafness, like myself, the captions will ensure that you won't miss a single instruction. In addition to captioning, our car can also open its doors. Who knew, right? These doors open on either side depending on where the loading zone is, and they are designed with the intention of having the guest who is on a wheelchair to easily lower the wheelchair's armrest and simply slide over without any transfer device because the seats and the wheelchair are on the same elevation level. And if you didn't already know, Disney Rock and Roller Coaster uses the same mechanism, except that the seats are really low, making it really hard for the guests to get in, which we tried to solve with our design. Moving on from ADA accessibility, our cars will also come in a wide range of colors. If you don't like blue, you can also pick yellow. What about green, red, and lastly, purple. And here is the rider's envelope for our ride vehicle. The seats were designed according to the height of the average adult male, which is 5'9" But for the rider's envelope, we will use a 95th percentile person at around 6'2". So when they are properly fastened to their seats, their extended reach above the shoulders should come out to be about 32 inches, which is 2.7 feet. This gives us a vertical clearance of about 18 inches. And for the sides, there will be a door to prevent the guests from reaching out to the sides, but for safety reasons, we will assume the worst case scenario of the doors opening for some unimaginable reasons. And if 2020 has taught me anything, it is that anything can happen. So as a result, our lateral clearance is 15 inches. Well, there you go. That is our rider's envelope, and I will now pass it on to Michael.
All right, so we have a little POV for you guys. So
Unfortunately,
so
no incredible score.
yeah. So your journey begins as you board your vehicle and levitate towards lower level flying altitude in the form of an elevator lift. You then make a left turn to merge with the rest of traffic, making sure to look both ways before doing so. And then you begin your flight. So you dip out of the station and head to the streets below. However, in a fit of nerves, you end up on the wrong side of the road. And thankfully, you're able to dodge the oncoming traffic and execute a swift turnaround before merging onto the correct side of oncoming traffic and performing a lane change as shown in the animation earlier. After slowing down, you're instructed to make a left turn and then accelerate and fly up to cruising altitude above the downtown building structures as you go through the second launch of the ride. Here, you'll take in the most stunning views of Stargrove, calm down a bit as you perform some basic driving maneuvers, high altitude turns, gentle twists, all in a more relaxed and scenic setting. Some dialogue from your instructor will be occurring here until suddenly your engine cuts out and you start plummeting towards the ground. But thankfully, you're able to do some quick thinking, pull up and slow down right as you enter the courtyard and avoid crashing into the buildings in the retro-futuristic downtown area. You're then able to shift gears into reverse and back out of the courtyard into the adjacent building as you readjust the orientation of your car. Depending on who your driving instructor is, you'll receive a varying level of panicked but impressed instructor feedback as you're able to complete this. And as you regain your bearings, you will launch forward again under this courtyard archway into your first ever flying car inversion before re-accelerating once again to the rooftops of the downtown area buildings. Here, your maneuvers are 100% going to be more controlled because you become more comfortable with your flying vehicle and you can actually appreciate the stunning views of Stargrove Once again, observe the nearby attractions and the gate exhibitions. And then your journey reaches its finale as you drop over the water and the boardwalk pass below, fly over, low level flying over the water, and then swiftly turn back towards the SDFV before you slow down and give yourself a pat on the back as you just completed your first ever successful flying lesson.
Pardon me. Difficulties. There we go. All right, so I'll go ahead and take it over from there to close out the presentation. Sorry, you have to listen to my voice more, everybody. So we did some math on our capacity for this ride and came to the conclusion that we have about a 60-second cycle time on our elevator lifts. And with 2 loading platforms, we should be able to dispatch trains about once every 30 seconds per platform. That's because they are each simultaneously loading and unloading a train. With that, we should be able to dispatch a train every 15 seconds total. With some quick dimensional analysis on 12 riders per train, that gives us a maximum theoretical capacity of 2,880 riders per hour. So for reference, that's higher than the Incredicoaster at Disneyland, which has a rider per hour capacity of about 2,400, or the Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, which has a rider per hour capacity of about 2,500. So we're pretty proud of how high we've got the capacity on this ride, and you should have seen all the block breaks in that POV that make that possible. So from there, we'd like to take a moment to conclude our time in this project by talking about what we might have liked to do with a little bit more time. We would have loved to have a musical score, a show script, and some voiceovers like our incredible Suburbs team was able to produce for their ride experience. But unfortunately, we're all engineers and just didn't really have the time or expertise necessary to really do that justice. Would have loved as well to spend a little bit more time talking about the accelerations data and other safety assessments based on the ASTM F24 standards. We would have loved to have a chance to incorporate all those incredible 3D models that were made into our simulation, but all those were things that we ran out of time on, but we would love to try and do in the future. With that, we have some lessons that we all learned from this. I, for one, found that though it can be a challenge, there's still ways to effectively utilize a team of nothing but engineers in an artistic and blue sky project. Sydney would talk a bit about how important it is to consider SolidWorks version compatibility from the outset of the project. And Cameron might tell you a bit about how powerful SolidWorks tools are for making animations and 3D sketches. Last but not least, we'd like to thank some of the people who helped us along this journey. Whoops, as we skip over a slide on accident. What the hell? The slides way here. There we go. We'd like to thank our mentors, Nicholas and Damian. We'd like to thank some of our teammates in STEP, Kylie, the safety engineer, Emily for our poster concept art, and Paige for our concept art of the Circuit Department of Flying Vehicles exterior. And of course, we'd like to thank Mike and Sochi for getting this whole incredible thing started and giving us the chance to work on this amazing project with these wonderful people. Thank you all so much. And with that, I'd like to congratulate everyone on having passed their Flyers education license. So thank you all very much for your time. And that is all we have for you today.
Thank you all so much. That was really good. Everyone I see is clapping. We're going to take another 5-minute break before we reconvene for our downtown show presentation. So one more time, we have the STEP store that the link is in the description of the live stream on YouTube, as well as the feedback form. We would appreciate any feedback you can give, and we would appreciate helping us raise some money for Give Kids the World Village. We will see you in about 5 minutes.
I would also like to say, if you'd like to subscribe to the STEP YouTube channel, we will be uploading many of the videos that you'll see today. So if you want to go back and look at some of the really awesome videos that these students have created, go ahead, subscribe, and then you'll get notified whenever we do an upload. So make sure you tune in on that.
All right, everyone. Looks like it's been our 5-minute break. Let's move on and introduce our downtown show team.
Awesome. Let me just screen share. Cool. Can everyone hear me all right? Awesome. Hi, everyone. So my name is Garrett Montero. I'm the team lead for the downtown show team. And today I am here to showcase Protoflight, which is an interactive show that combines elements of immersive theater with the latest in real-time rendering technology to create a fun experience for all ages. So before we get started, I'd like to introduce you to our flight crew. So like I said, my name is Garrett Montero. I'm a 5th-year computer science major at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, concentrating in interactive entertainment, and I am the team lead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Lito. I am a 4th-year mechanical engineering major at UC San Diego, and I worked on the layout and the safety for this attraction.
Hey, I'm Kane. I'm a computer science major with a minor in art. I go to San Diego State.
Oh, Tahara unfortunately was unable to join us today, but we'll have some special surprises with her. She was the creative writer for this attraction.
Hey everyone, my name is Ali Rocha. I am a 5th-year double major at Virginia Tech in Industrial Systems Engineering and Theater Arts, and I was the stage and operations manager for this attraction.
Hi everyone, I'm Amelia and I'm in Carnegie Mellon University, Master of Entertainment Technology, and I'm the sound designer for the team.
Awesome. So for this project, we were tasked with creating a show that takes place inside a UFO. And some of the constraints that we were given included a minimum capacity of 1,000 guests per hour, a duration of 15 to 25 minutes, and a minimum of 8,000 square feet of queue space. Some other unique factors that we had to consider compared to other teams was the fact that our exterior is the icon or weenie of the park. And so I'll touch on that in a little bit. Another factor that we had to consider was accessibility, as we are one of the only attractions that is accessible to pretty much everyone, meeting all ADA standards and generally just a non-thrill attraction. So where we're located directly opposite the entrance of the park across the lake, as you can see by our lovely park map. Because of this, we had to give careful consideration for our exterior, as it's the first thing that guests see as they enter, the park icon, if you will. And additionally, our attraction also closes early to prepare for the nighttime spectacular, which happens along the lakeside. So let's talk about our story. So to give us a little bit more information about Protoflight, with Stargrove News, we have Tahara Agbamuche live on the scene. Can everyone hear?
I don't hear.
Oh.
Are you sharing your screen with sound?
I don't believe I did.
Unshare it and then enable the screen share audio.
Cool. Share.
Hell Industries. On behalf of Stargrove News, my name is Tahara Agbamuche, and I am at Propel headquarters today to bring to you live the opening of their latest spacecraft. Guests have been lining up for hours for the latest Protoflight, Propel's test flight name that they have coined over the years of the Gate Expo. Every year they release their latest craft, and we're all excited to see what is new and improved. The headquarters headquarters has also received a new facelift, and I'm also here to bring to you our first looks at that today. Welcome to Propel.
Whoops. Cool. So here's our exterior. The weenie of the park, our beautiful concept art that was done by D'Angelo. And here's Sahara to talk a little bit about that.
And without further ado, here is the latest update to Propel Industry Headquarters. This is where guests will enter the building in order to take their protoflight. Their latest craft does away with any kind of keys because their new identification system goes through a scanning process where it can recognize any alien species, human, in the entire galaxy. Before we head inside, I want to show you what it looks like when the sun sets. Propel Industries is ever dynamic, always changing and fluctuating to reflect the mood, and that includes when the sun goes down.
Cool. So next, also with Stargrove News, we have our other news correspondent, Ali Rocha.
Yep. So once you're inside this historic building, we see all the amazing feats of Propel Industries. So while you're waiting for your test flight, just wander through our amazing trophy hall and see one of the many exhibits here within Propel, such as some of our past spaceship models, our first cruiser design, or many other of these amazing exhibits. Once you get a closer look, you could say that it's no wonder Propel is one of the best ship makers here in the entire galaxy.
Cool. So next we have Tahara again to talk about our pre-show.
All right, Stargrove News. I'm coming to you from inside of one of the cabins of the protoflight. This is where guests will embark on their journey and they will meet this year's coveted selection of interns. Every year at the Gate Expo, Propel chooses from a vast amount of applicants just dying for a chance to intern with this company and get a foot in the door in the spacecraft industry. This year, their applicants have been chosen, and they are Miso, Una, and Crofus. Miso is the definition of suave. He's the type of guy that on group projects, he's probably just going to saunter through, write his name on it, and call it quits. I hear something is going on in the control room though, and I get the feeling that he's also going to be the first to leave. Una is shy but witty, and she is always ready for the next big adventure. She's intimidated by her confident peers, but when any kind of conflict strikes, she's ready to spring to action. Crofus is very, very confident and ready to go at all costs. However, when things don't necessarily go the way that they need to go, he doesn't quite know how to manage. Let's move on and see if he does know how to fight that challenge.
Cool. So next, let's talk about our actual show experience. So next we have Kane to talk about that.
Hey, so first you'll enter this pre-show room where you'll meet the interns and they'll explain who Intra is. Intra is an AI that manages the entire ship from autopilot to security, and they further discuss the advanced security system that Tahara mentioned. So if Intra finds an unknown being try to control the ship, it'll actually go into a lockdown mode and let Intra handle the intruders. Once it's safe for Intra to resume the ship actually resets all subsystems for security reasons, and a manual override for each subsystem is required to start the ship. So here you can see this is the pre-show room, and now they're going to enter the bridge where they will be, where the interns will lead them into individual pods. This is a fully interactive demo built in Unity. Originally it had subtitles, but that made the video get a bit long, so yeah. So now Intra is scanning the guests and seeing if they belong here. And unfortunately, the room turns red, which means that Intra doesn't recognize the humans. This is because somebody forgot to actually scan humans and put them into the database, since humans since this is the first time humans have been at Gate. Now the humans have to work, the guests have to work together and convince the AI that they belong on the ship. Wait, Garrett. Garrett, pause it. That's not ready yet. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to talk a bit more. I'll let you know. So now that they need to convince the AI, in this part of the show, they'll meet Intra, and Intra will show up on the giant screen, and she will be a real-time 3D rendered virtual puppet operated by a cast member / voice actor, similar to kind of like Turtle Talk with Crush. And I think this will be the most comedic part of the show because Intra is not going to understand what a human is, and it's going to be pretty weird. After Intra's convinced that the humans are supposed to be here, she'll enter them into the database, and now the guests will need to activate the menu override for each subsystems, and they'll need to solve interactive puzzles. Garrett, you can show the video now. Yeah, so there's individual control panels that guests will control, each with their own unique puzzle that they need to solve. This is kind of like Smuggler's Run, and there'll be like interactive screens giving feedback. And after that manual override completes, Intro will be able to take control and give you guys a tour around the entire park. Now this system that shows, yeah, so there's a bit more complexity to this part of the ride, so I'll let Amelia talk about it now.
Yeah,
Amelia?
sure. So after the guests like bring the ship back online, they're treated with flyover Star Grove. And then so different routes depending on your own ship, and it will add to rewrite ability. And that's the end of this attraction. And
So yeah, in summary, we have a fully interactive character-driven show with 3 different characters that sort of adds to your rewritability and changes. It's fun for the whole family. It's accessible and engages children, parents, and grandparents. And it utilizes real-time 3D animation, show effects, sound, and interactivity. So next, let's talk about the operations.
All right, so first up is our layout. So for our, excuse me. So for our attractions, basic characteristics, we have 3 showrooms denotated in the image as the circle with little pie slices carved out of them. Those are our actual spaceships that the guests will be inside of. Our throughput, as mentioned before, is 1,000 guests per hour. And also an extra thing in our layout, we have selected certain parts of our building for green rooms for all of our cast and actors, as well as any necessary storage and maintenance for electronic storages, office space, anything you could really need in backstage areas. Our biggest challenge with our layout was figuring out how to evacuate 1,000 guests at one time without making them go further throughout the attraction, making them run into one another, and doing it safely. So after talking with the other people on the safety team, we came up with these operation rules. Our pre-show rooms, which are the dark blue areas, and the respective waiting rooms, the light blue areas, will never host guests at the same time. The waiting areas, light blue, will accept the next group of guests at the earliest when the bridge show sequence started. So that would be the pink areas. The pre-show rooms, also dark blue, will accept the next group of guests at the earliest when the flight sequence in the cabins and the bridge has ended. That way the guests who are leaving the attraction don't run into the guests who are now coming onto the attraction. And lastly, the 3 showrooms will be staggered from each other such that the exit hallways represented in red are only supporting 1 full showroom group of guests. That way they're only evacuating 1 set of people at a time. And then our next slide is our 3D version of our full layout, complete with a setup queue with all of our 3D models and ships. And this was done in SketchUp.
Cool. So next, Amelia is going to talk about the sound design.
Yeah, so the sound design process is first finding the resources after we talk about the overall story, and then like finding the more futuristic soundtracks and share it with the groups, and start composing on loop background music. So the attraction includes costume music and also like sound effects. So I keep adding more Foley sound effects and made everything sounds like more electronic feelings. Yeah.
So in terms of our attractions operating hours, we decided to go with a sample 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. This being that we are a show attraction and to not interfere with that times of the nighttime spectacular, because we would then be two competing show times. We also have the cast call time of starting with 9:30 to allow for the cast to come in a little bit early to get into any costumes and makeup and prosthetics if need be. We also calculated some sample expected weekly finances, being that this is a show where are going to need a full cast full of performers who would be not only the characters that we talked about earlier, but they would also be voice actors for the AI character, but also some managers to run the attraction as well. So calculating those with some expected pay rates. And obviously in an ideal situation, we came out with a weekly cost of $9,310 per week at a minimum, with no upper management or sick leave or overtime pay. So this obviously is still can be a little bit high cost, but is expected because we are a show. And we did prioritize this over other costs, because we obviously realized that having a cast would be more important. So we decided to pull costs from other expenditures, such as we had the idea of initially of like an elevator for like a special effect or something like that, but we put the money towards having a cast instead.
Cool. So, wrapping up, we'd like to thank the following people for their tremendous help on this project. First, Etienne Saiton for mentoring our team throughout this process. All of the other mentors for providing feedback along the way. It was very helpful. Of course, our management team, Sochi, Mike, Taylor, and Jessica doing the most. Jake Ploker and the Nighttime Spectacular team for working on us with the exterior. Paige Brunson, D'Angelo Reyes for all of her beautiful concept art. And of course, all of you for watching. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Downtown Show. That was really cool. We are about to start our last presentation of the day. This is our Nighttime Spectacular team.
Real quick though, just a quick update before Nighttime Spec goes on. Some of y'all have requested poster merch throughout the day, and we got a store set up for that. So just to show you real quick, because not all of the products are the same, all attractions are going to be getting merch with their posters on them. It's on a separate website, but it's still going to be donated to Give Kids the World. It's going to happen still. So let's look at the Suburb coaster as soon as it loads. But there are, so far it is set up for the maze, gate, and the Suburb coaster. Your front of your shirt has the logo or an icon from the ride. Back has the poster. And there's also other merch you can get, but only the shirts that show up first will have a front and back. So I just wanted to clarify that. But Mike has now put that into the YouTube description. It's on TeePublic. And again, the proceeds will also be donated.
Awesome, thank you. Nighttime Spec, are you ready?
Yep, we're ready for you. Thank you, Zochi, for setting that up, and thanks, Jessica, for introducing us. I will share my screen, and we'll go ahead and get started. Let me optimize for video clip here. All right, welcome. Are you able to see this desktop bar here, by the way? Sorry. Oh, there it goes. Okay, well, welcome everybody to the Gate Showcase. We are, as they said, the Nighttime Spectacular and the final show of the night that brings the park together. I am Jake Plucker, and I am the team lead for this project. And going down the line, Tahara was our creative writer and costume designer. while she isn't able to be with us today, she is on site, and so you'll hear from her throughout our presentation. Amelia?
Hi, I'm Amelia, and I study in Carnegie Mellon University, and I'm the media designer for this team.
Hi, I'm Alejandro. I am the composer for the Nighttime Spectacular.
Hi, I'm Bailey. I focused on a lot of the mechanical design for the Nighttime Spec.
And then a big shout out and thank you to our team mentor, Emmanuel, for guiding us through the process and giving us feedback as we move through the entire project. With no further ado, let's go ahead and jump into it. So as you can see, our poster on the left, the gate showcase is the action-packed conclusion to the day at the park. The runtime is around 20 minutes, and it's over the central lake that splits the downtown and the suburbs. The key piece to this is it'll weave the park-wide technology you experienced in different attractions throughout the day into the show itself. Looking at a layout of our Nighttime Spectacular, drawn from the master planning team, you're able to see our barges on the lake here with the performer barges in the center and VIP guest barges docked around the lake along the outside. The light blue denotes water projection screens that will be shooting up from within the lake. Our drone fleet launch zone is in the bright pink, with our flying car drone that you'll see more of soon in this yellow color here. And the small note here, our fireworks are being launched 700 feet north of this viewing area, and we'll talk more about that later, as well as during the safety presentation tomorrow. With that, I'm going to pass it down to Tahara on site.
Welcome back to Stargrove News. My name is Tahara Agbamuche, and this evening I will be covering the International Gate Expo Showcase. This showcase features the latest and greatest tech at the expo every single year and allows each team to compete for the annual championship. Hosting your show today are Lapis LaFontaine and Intra. They are introducing our guests to our latest piece of technology in addition to the show, where guests have the ability to scan in their memories from their day at the park and have that be featured in the show. In addition, using our park app, they have the ability to vote for their favorite competitors in order to bring their champion to the top.
Thank you, Tahara. And now I'd like to introduce the composer for the showcase, Alejandro Edwards.
Thanks, Jake. I was contracted out by the Gate Showcase to compose a grand symphonic suite that encompasses all the ideas of imagination and vision that would bring together all the different people in the galaxy to showcase their amazing technology. This is now shown here in the competitor showcase. And additionally, each showcase member contracted me to have their own unique musical sound and style be presented within the show. And these styles can be heard in the background of Tahara during her live broadcast of the show. Oh, but it looks like that the show is about to start, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy the opening scene.
With the introduction of our champions complete, we move into our first act, Meteor Motors. Tahara is on site with more.
First out of the gate, we have Meteor Motors and their flying car technology. This car soars over the guests' heads as their passengers projected onto a screen on the lake so you can actually see them functioning the controls. Once it lands, its pilot steps out and greets the audience.
Thank you, Tahara. And now to our showcase engineer, Bailey Griffin, for more.
Awesome. So we got a lot of our inspiration for the flying car from Gear Factor. They've actually done a couple of things with commercials or concerts where they've had an actual flying car involved. And so we did a plastic shell with a helium balloon that would be filled up on the inside. And so there will be lots of lights and music and everything. And this is a close-up of our car. And so to run through some of the numbers, the car weight is 18 pounds and the balloon lift capability is 17.9 pounds, which leaves us with a tare weight of 0.1 pounds. And this is just to ensure that if something were to happen with the drones, that the car will just slowly float to the ground. And then another safety thing that we put in place, if something were to happen to the balloon, all 4 drones inside are able to carry 6 pounds, so they would be able to carry the car to safety in that case. So yeah, the car is similar in size to a normal car, so the guests actually feel like there's a real car flying over them, with the length being 14 feet and the width being 5 feet, with a height of 7.5 feet. So yeah, that's our car.
Thank you, Bailey. It looks like the next act is getting started now, so we'll pass it live to Tahara.
Propel Industries and their contributions to our technology in our universe. This time, they're presenting water technology that allows their users to fly above liquid basins. Guests are enamored with the flyboarding, hoverboarding, and water levitating technologies.
With this act here, as Tahara mentioned, you can see the ability to manipulate the water is performed with the flyboards and jet skis, as well as heavily relying on the projection mapping and our water fountain screens throughout the show. Next up in the act, we have the Intergalactic Time Savers.
The intergalactic time savers are a force to be reckoned with, and they didn't come to play. They came to the Gate Expo with their portal technology, allowing one to transport from one area to another. Their representative demonstrates such technology with their act.
Let's learn more about how this technology works with Bailey Griffin.
Awesome. So this barge is the performer barge, and the performers will be wearing outfits that have lights on them. So that way they can bounce around and do their act. And then as they pass through a hoop, the lights on their outfit will turn off right as someone else is going through the hoop, and their lights will turn on. So it looks like they have actually transported through time and space over to the other barge. So this barge was created kind of similar to the Disneyland Fantasmic boats, where they're being driven underneath the barges. And we have safety measures in place where the nets will be there to catch them, and there'll also be padding on the edges of the nets just in case a performer were to miscalculate their jump.
And then into our guest experience with Bailey.
Awesome. So these boats act as the VIP experience for the guests, and they are 40 people per barge, and they're loaded by the restaurant, and then they will fan out as seen in the layout. And then in between each act, the boats will switch or rotate so that they can get a different view on the nighttime spectacular show. And there will be lights on the boat that correspond with the acts that are happening at that time.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those discerning, the Gate Showcase has received your votes and have determined the winner of the 75th Gate Showcase Championship. With all the grandeur and circumstance deserving each and every one of these fantastic submissions, there could be only one
So to dive into a little bit of safety, as we are putting on quite the spectacular at the end of the day, first looking at our fireworks and the NFPA 1123, the maximum mortar size designed in the simulations you've been seeing is a 10-inch mortar diameter. And so in line with that regulation, the minimum secured diameter of our site is 1,400 feet, and thus you get the 700-foot distance from all our spectators mentioned before. Jumping into a few drone safety highlights, our small unmanned aircraft system vehicles will be Intel Shooting Star drones, and we'll be using a fleet of 200 of these drones. The max flight time capable is 8 minutes, and as they'll only be appearing at the end of the show, that's more than enough. The max range is near a mile. The max speed is 22 miles per hour, and the weight of each individual drone is only around 0.7 pounds. Now, in order to truly bring this to life, the Federal Aviation Administration requires waivers in order to perform our drone flying under certain circumstances. And so the first waiver that we would be applying for is 107.29, which regards daylight operation. And so as we're performing at night, special safety considerations have been made to ensure the safety of all of our guests viewing the spectacular. And this is chiefly achieved through multiple remote pilots who are in command of these drones, as well as a full team of visual observers whose sole job is to watch the drones and ensure that none are going off flight path. For 107.35, this enables one pilot to operate multiple of these drones. And so with the assistance of a computer-aided system, our operators will be able to see if any drones are flying off course, and will be able to manually override any such drones to ensure that they land safely and are returned if there's any malfunction. And the last, 107.39, applies to the flying car drone seen before. And this one will be operating over the heads of the people. And so we want to ensure additional safety for the flying car drone as well. And so Bailey mentioned it before, but with that tare weight of 0.1 pounds, ideally the balloon will only slowly float to the ground if there is any malfunction. Also, the balloon is padded, or the shell of the car around the balloon is padded to help reduce any kinetic energy and thus reduce the intensity of any injury that might, in a rare circumstance, occur. With that, it looks like the finale is just finishing up, so let's take you back to the show. Thank you to all of you for attending GATE today and for attending the showcase at the end of the night. A special thank you, of course, again to our mentor, Emmanuel. A thank you to all of the management team who have brought this to life. And then a thank you to all of the different project teams whose ride vehicles or technology they implemented in their experiences. Thank you to them for working with us to really bring their vision to life within the spectacular.
Thank you for speaking. That was great. Everyone today, you all did such an amazing job. Everyone listening on YouTube, thank you for coming and spending this afternoon, this morning with us. We appreciate everything, and you all have done such an amazing job today.
Yeah, I completely agree. When we were creating the presentation for the managers to present, we were looking at the timeline and talking about just how all of this came together. Oh my goodness. It is insane that 70 students signed up for a random project that they didn't know what was going on. And then 17 industry professionals were like, hey, this is crazy enough. Like, let's get on board. So thank you so much to all of our mentors. Thank you so much to all of the students and everybody that's been a part of this project. Y'all have done a fantastic job, and literally only for the reason of getting some experience, putting something on your portfolio. Thank you so much. This has been incredible.
I'd like to echo that, to congratulate all of you, because like this is absolutely incredible. I was texting Taylor during it, just like I can't stop smiling. Like my cheeks were hurting because I was just so happy. Like everything y'all produced was incredible, and seeing where we started and where we ended up now is awesome, especially for this being for those of you who missed it in our first presentation. This is our first time doing it, so like we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna hit bumps, and we did, but seeing how everyone pulled through despite all the hardships we faced with this, like congratulations, and thank you all for sticking with this project, for having faith in us that we could do this project and that we could lead y'all through it, and thank you for just being incredible people. And this is just day one. I'm so excited for day 2 tomorrow.
I don't know how I can follow up with all of that, because it's also true, and that's exactly what my thoughts are. I'm so proud and impressed by all of your hard work and determination and creating this final presentation that just, it's blown away every expectation that I had initially coming into here. So everyone, give yourselves a pat on the back. We got through it. We got through this summer, and we really made the most out of really what started out being just a kind of void that COVID created. And we now have something that we can always think back upon and say, huh, I did something incredible. So thank you to everyone who has made this possible. And thank you to everyone who's viewing right now on YouTube. Make sure to check out those stores and the merchandise, and also to subscribe, because we'll be taking a lot of the videos you saw today and uploading them to the internet so you can see them whenever you want, because this is truly impressive work that should be seen. Thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a fantastic day.
I do want to add one more thing real quick. Sorry. We owe a really big special thank you to Ashley Ravello. She is one of the management mentors, but she has been with this project since before we even started it. We were in a random meeting. I said, hey, what if this happens? And she helped us from the very beginning and has helped us along the way with everything. She has been there whenever we needed her, through email, through Discord. If we need anything, anytime at all, she was always there for us. So huge thank you to you, Ashley, for helping us from the very beginning, for bringing on more mentors, and just being an amazing mentor and inspiration to us.
I'm so proud of all of you. This is amazing.
Thank you all again. Don't forget, tomorrow presentations start at 9:30 a.m. PST again. All links to the stores and to the feedback form are in the description for the YouTube video. Make sure you subscribe to the STEP channel if you want easy access to tomorrow's link. Otherwise, I think that's it, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Thank you so much, everybody. See you tomorrow.
Have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
And goodbye, YouTube. We can.
I'm going to stop the recording.
Bye, YouTube people.
Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.